You know, we'd watched Joe Montana do that on television, but now all of a sudden we're out there witnessing that. We're the Kansas City Chiefs. That's no longer Joe Montana. That's us. They admit that that performance by Joe Montana to win that game 2 weeks ago against San Diego has changed this team to the better. As a matter of how much they find out today against a very good opponent, the Miami Dolphins.
Marty Schottenheimer, who was once drafted by Don Shula as a linebacker out of the University of Pittsburgh when Shula was the coach of the Baltimore Colts. I asked him about his relationship with Shula. Could they have worked together? He said, I don't think so. We're both too hard-headed, stubborn in our ways, but that isn't the case. I think the success of these coaches, the younger Schottenheimer and certainly Shula, has been the ability to adjust to the times, adjust to the changing players and changing strategies of the game. Shula now a young 63, one victory away from equaling what seemed to be an impossible mark. George Halas, the Hall of Famer, Chicago Bears Papa Bear, with 324 victories, and he's done it many ways. He's done it without a starter. Earl Morrall, for example, for Bob Greasy, and now it's Scott Mitchell subbing for Dan Marino.
And Dick, that last graphic you saw speaks volumes to Don Shula because of the manner in which he prepares the entire football team. A lot of coaches will have their starting quarterbacks take 90% of the snaps. The backups, and there's Dan Marino on the sideline, the backups take 10-15%. With Shula's team, they share the duty, so when someone goes down, Mitchell can step up and be a starter.
Kansas City won the toss and will receive. So we'll see Joe Montana first. Ron Dickerson, as you see Pete Stoyanovich getting ready for the kickoff. Dickerson, number 23, has just been activated. He's been out with an injury. His dad was here in Miami yesterday, the head coach of Temple University. They lost the University of Miami 42-7. Dickerson, a free agent from Arkansas, and he has returned 2 kickoffs, 44 yards this year. And only Rod Woodson of Pittsburgh can make that claim. 44, the longest kickoff return in the AFC this season, and Dickerson has 2 of them. So Marty Schottenheimer pleased that he's back in uniform. Wind blows the ball off the tee, and wind could be a factor, yes. And so rain is forecast for later this afternoon.
And the wind, even though the flag looks like it's going to the right from the screen, the Dolphins will have the wind at their back to start the football game.
73 degrees, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and they're tricky here as they are in most stadia where they circulate throughout. Some rain forecast. The locals say it's a sure thing. We'll see. And now Jarvis Williams will have to tee it up for Stoyanovich, who, by the way, kicking this way in practice, was trying 60-yard field goals and making them. There's Dickerson, the rookie. His dad was drafted Miami and back in '71. This one wheels deep into the end zone, and Dickerson takes the touchback. Joe Montana will start from the 20-yard line, and here comes the incomparable 37-year-old. He'll have Alt, Zott, Grunhard, the rookie Shields from Nebraska, and Siglar blocking for him. In the backfield, Harvey Williams will start. He sat out the San Diego game. We'll see Marcus Allen as well. Kimball Anders is the fullback. J.J. Burton and Willie Davis, the wide receivers, and Jonathan Hayes, the veteran tight end. When they go to 3 wide, Marcus Allen comes in, and so does the former Viking Hassan Jones. It's going to be a noisy day. These Miami fans are ready, and Montana goes deep on the first play. Incomplete. Looking for J.J. Burton. The defense for the Miami Dolphins lines up this way. Jeff Cross, who leads the team with 7 sacks. Klingbeil on the nose. Larry Webster. Marco Coleman stand up in. Grimsley Hollier for the injured Offerdahl. And the young star Brian Cox at linebacker. Troy Vincent and J.B. Brown at the corners. Jarvis Williams and Louis Oliver at safety. And in the nickel, Vesty Jackson, former Chicago Bear, comes in. 2nd and 10. A delay and nothing there at all for Harvey Williams. The Dolphins ready, maybe a yard on the play.
So important for Harvey Williams to run the ball and run the ball well for Kansas City. And talking to Marty Schottenheimer last night, he wants to spell Marcus Allen a little bit more. It feels like he's used him a little too much, but in part because Harvey Williams has had a turf toe But Williams has got to get his act together, be an important part of the running game here for Kansas City.
3rd and long. Nearly done. Oh, Montana slipping. Out of the backfield to Anders. Jarvis Williams saves the first down with a tackle at the 28. And Miami has held Kansas City 3 and out, and the fans love that. Brian Barker comes in to punt for Kansas City. He's averaging 41.5 per punt. And O.J. McDuffie, the former star for Joe Paterno at Penn State, the rookie, who took one back 71 yards for a score against the Colts in the last Miami game, is back at the 32. Sun breaks through as Barker drills a long spiral. What a kick to the 16th. And McDuffie smothered at the 28-yard line by Dale Carter. 55 yards on the punt, 7 on the return. Here comes the left-hander Scott Mitchell. Played his ball at the University of Utah, where he set 10 NCAA records. Webb and Sims, a big, tough left side of the line. Ulenek, Dellenbach, and the former Eagle Ron Heller. It's Mark Higgs starting. He had over 100 yards against the Colts. Keith Byers, the ex-Eagle. Fryer and Ingram outside, and Keith Jackson, the all-pro tight end. 3 wide, Terry Kirby, the rookie, comes in along with Tony Martin at wide receiver. Mitchell hands off to Higgs, and Higgs hit at the 30-yard line. The little guy from Kentucky, only 5'7", but almost 200 pounds, and Dan Saliamua brings him down. The defense for the Chiefs, Neil Smith having another all-pro start. Joe Phillips on the nose, Dan Saliamua, Derek Thomas stand up on the end, Roger Simeon and March are the linebackers, and in the secondary, Lewis and Ross at the corners, Doug Terry and Charles Mincy. Mincy replaces David Whitmore out with a knee, and Jay Taylor is the nickelback. Second down. Mitchell's first pass into the flat, wide open is Higgs. And Higgs out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Higgs, who is myopic, has trouble seeing the ball, wears contact lens. They don't often go to him.
Only 5 catches now, that being his 5th. Good play action fake. And you're right, Higgs is totally uncovered. Normally the receiving back is Terry Kirby. This is the beauty and I think part of the genius of Don Shula. They scout themselves. We don't throw much to Higgs. We do it now.
Kevin Ross made the tackle. Higgs right back on the ground with a handoff for a couple. Saliamua and others. Tracy Simeon on the tackle.
Dick, it's so important, too, for Miami with the Scott Mitchell in there. This is a kid who's been around for 4 years, watching Dan Marino as a backup, spending a year in the World League. But he doesn't have a lot of real game experience. So what they need to do is spread it around. They don't want the game in Scott Mitchell's hand late in the game. So it's more importance on the backside of the backfield, tight end, fires, the underneath stuff.
Higgs has been his man. 2 runs and a pass to the former Kentucky star. Second and a long 8 down the middle, complete. And a first down at the Kansas City 43 to Irving Fryer. Mincy, the tackler. 10 yards.
Bump and run. High percentage passes here by the Miami Dolphins to start. Wind at their back, but they're going with the let's build Scott Mitchell's confidence. Last week, he had just 19 attempts. I think that's a nice round number for a kid just making his first or second start.
We're in that number 19, as is Joe Montana. Marino sat for the first half up in the press box against the Colts that couldn't stand it. He's down on the field. This is Terry Kirby, the outstanding young rookie from the University of Virginia, and Tracy Simeon denies, as has this Chiefs defense against the run. Best in the league, allowing only 2.7 yards per rush.
And that's the defensive coordinator, Dave Adolph. But as an offense, you can't concede that to Kansas City. A lot of these runs that they have are just keep the defense honest kind of runs. They need the play action faking, so they've got to try, even though they may not get a lot of yards.
Pittsburgh has allowed less rushing total yards, but per average attempt, Kansas City best in the league. Derek Thomas, and Mitchell gets away. And the big guy slides in at the 36. 3 yards short of a first down.
And Dick, one of the problems you have with a young quarterback is shown right here. You see Dan Marino sit there. He'll step up, and then he'll look to throw. The young quarterback always runs first. He does an excellent job, and he's got to worry about just hanging that ball out there for somebody to tip away. Those are things that he'll learn from Dan Marino.
Derek Thomas mentioned that yesterday, and watching film, he says he does kind of let it hang out there, doesn't he? And those rushing linebackers especially like to swat it away, and Thomas was trying to do just that on the pass rush. Saleaumua was offside, and Mitchell throws almost intercepted by Thomas. Intended for Keith Jackson. So Thomas wasn't rushing that time, drifted back in coverage.
Which is highly unusual for Derek Thomas, but I think you called the penalty correctly here. Saleaumua, so that'll be a first down for Miami.
Offside defense, nose tackle, 5 yards, first down.
Kind of hard to miss Dan Saleaumua when he jumps off sides. There's an awful lot of him. Derek Thomas drops off, covering Keith Jackson man-to-man out there at the top of the screen, but the incompletion makes no difference. First down.
Well, productive drive thus far for Scott Mitchell and Miami in their first possession, changing plays. Byers shifting. And on first down, Tony Martin for 10 more. Fumble the ball, and let's see who has it. Kansas City thinks it's the red shirts' ball. And they have it, the Kansas City Chiefs. And Marty Schottenheimer, that is his #1 statistic. We've got to take it away, and that relates to victory.
I think it's Kevin Ross, 31, who makes the contact. Yeah, he knocks it away. Nice little slant pass. Big turnover for Kansas City.
Back to the 1985 Super Bowl game, 19 and number 16, Joe Montana scrambling for a score against the Miami Dolphins. Another MVP in the Super Bowl for Super Joe. That same year, later in November, Scott Mitchell is the quarterback at Springville, Utah. His team wins the state championship. Mitchell, wearing 19 with his sneaks right out of both shoes as he's tackled, goes for a touchdown. And while Montana had his super season in the NFL, young Scott Mitchell offered a portent of days in Miami. A fumble recovery for Kansas City, denying Miami, and the quick throw by Montana, good for about 9 to J.J. Burden. They say Burden has a chance to be the next super receiver here in Kansas City. So, well, Scott Mitchell, let's go back to him. He hadn't changed much over the years.
The whole town of Springville and all the team and the players and coaches, it's just something we've always dreamed of, and we've worked real hard to get it.
Well, state high school football championship, that's just about the ultimate, isn't it?
It is. You can't describe it. It's super.
An appropriate word. It's super.
It's super.
Well, how about that background there in Utah in November?
He can play in snow in bad weather. We know that.
He said he's never skied. Hard to believe. Springville near Provo, and everyone thought he'd stay there and go to BYU, but didn't. Went up to Salt Lake City and 3 years at the University of Utah. Not quite. Yes, it was a first down. 10 yards on Montana's throw to Burden. Here's Harvey Williams. Williams fumbles. Picked up by Brian Cox at the 34-yard line. Miami gets it back.
Well, Dick, I mentioned they need a lot of production out of Harvey Williams. He does everything right here, bounces outside, except hang on to the football. That's not a particularly big hit by Brown, number 37. That's not a particularly big hit. But when you're out for a couple of weeks with a turf toe, maybe you just lose track of just hanging on the ball. Brown with the helmet right on the ball, pops loose. Miami has it back.
Big play. Brian Cox picks it up. Now it's Mitchell going for it all on first down. just misses connections with Irving Fryer. Fryer, who has 2 touchdowns as a Dolphin. We talked to Irving yesterday at practice. He said, just can't believe how happy it is to be here with Shula and this team. He said there were cliques in New England. There are most teams. He said, here, I can go out there and talk with anyone. I thought it was kind of an interesting comment that obviously that isn't the case in a lot of spots.
Well, but Irving would like you to think that the atmosphere has changed him. But in truth, Irving has changed a great deal. So this atmosphere and the winning atmosphere probably helps him too.
Mitchell on 2nd and 10 with the tight end Jackson in motion. And he goes to him incomplete. There's some room there for Jackson, covered by number 52 Tracy Rogers. Well, these quarterbacks all look at their ratings, their report card, and to no surprise, the natural gas AFC quarterback efficiency leader is Montana. Marino was 2nd. Of course, he'll fall out of there with the injury. Esiason, Elway, O'Donnell, and Kelly complete the list. On 3rd down and 10, Mitchell under pressure, and he gets it away complete. What a throw under that kind of heat. Tony Martin with a catch and a 1st down at the 19.
Dick, that is a major league play by this kid. Look at the smile. They had a 4 wide receiver set. Kansas City's choice. Let's try to take advantage of the young man. You got a blitz here. You got a blitz here. Right at Scott Mitchell. He's still able to get it off. This kid is big. This kid is strong, and he just showed his guts right there.
4 for 6 and 51 yards for Mitchell, who is 6'6" and 230 pounds. First left-hander to ever start for Shula here in Miami. This is Terry Kirby. Met by Doug Terry and a flag thrown by the referee. Gary Thomas cleaning up Doug Terry's initial hit, and then the first sign is holding against Miami.
One of the things that Don Shula's never been given credit for. Hang on just a minute.
Referee is Tom White.
Holding. Number 41. Offense. 10 yards. Still 1st down.
Keith Byers with a little extra help.
Don Shula has always had the ability to just blow out the ears of most officials in the NFL.
He did have that in common with Hallis.
Yes, he did. I mean, you can hear him from the other sideline when he disagrees with a call. And he doesn't care who hears or what it sounds like coming out either.
From the spot of the foul, so it's an 8-yard penalty back to the 27-yard line. Mitchell looking for Martin, and his arm is hit. Might have been Sally Amua flying by. They got a little piece of the arm. Incomplete. Joe Phillips was in there as well.
Miami's doing a lot of moving around, and it's producing some stunts by Kansas City to try to at least put pressure on Scott Mitchell up through the middle. Is this it? He tries to draw that ball back. He didn't want to throw it. And I like the choice of Miami. They're throwing on early downs. That really puts an added pressure on the defense. You're not sure defensively just exactly what they're going to do.
Well, the pregame feeling was that Miami had to establish some running game for Mitchell to be successful. And boy, ducks away from pressure again and throws. Complete. Irving Fryer. Touchdown, Miami. Mitchell to Fryer, 27 yards, and Mitchell again eluding the rush. A Houdini back there.
In that drive, 2 huge plays by Scott Mitchell.
They were clipping at his heels as he escaped pressure, stepped up, and on the run hit Fryer. 5 plays, 35 yards after the fumble recovery by Brian Cox. Stoyanovich, who led the league in scoring last year. Oh, they fumbled the snap. Doug Peterson, the new holder, and backup quarterback, and incomplete, although he had Beatty open in the end zone. So they miss fire on the extra point. Miami leads 6-0.
NFL on NBC is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered. By the new Chevy S-Series line of trucks. So new from the inside out, everything else is history. By Rayovac Renewal. Reusable alkaline power, that's the power of renewal. And by American Airlines, something special in the air.
On this Halloween, Miami strikes first, 6-0 on this play.
Watch the blitz from the outside. That's the first thing that Mitchell does to avoid. And he's awful close to the line of scrimmage, gets the ball to Fryer. Watch the block at the end. Kirby, 43. Beautiful block. Fryer in the end zone for a score.
Mitchell 5 for 8 in this first quarter, 78 yards and a touchdown, as Stojanovic, after the muffed extra point, sends a sidewinder past Dickerson and through the end zone.
Again now, let's see if we can see where Scott Mitchell throws the ball. The yard line is like at the 28. He avoids the rush. The 28. Boy, that's awful close. It's a new rule, and it's the ball, not necessarily the body, but that's awful close. But he does an excellent job of keeping the ball up there, ready to throw it. Fryer, and the big assist right there to Terry Kirby.
Get back to the missed extra point, which is a result in part of Marino's injury. Montana through traffic and drills one to J.J. Burton, and a first down across the 30. A dozen on that one. When Marino was hurt, and Scott Mitchell was the holder for Stojanovic, but Mitchell now, as the quarterback, gives up that responsibility to this man, Peterson, and in only his second week in the NFL, Peterson, actually that was his mistake.
On him, yes, and he told us, I've never held before for kicks. Last week was the first time.
Not even in college.
Not even in college.
Marcus Allen in the game. And he gets the call from Montana. Oh, here he goes. To the 46, maybe the 47, Marcus Allen, and another first down. And Louis Oliver made the defensive play.
Dick, that was fantastic blocking up front. You got to start with Jonathan Hayes, then you got linemen pulling out here. Watch Will Shields, 68. Allen untouched until he's about, what, 10, 11 yards down the field? Well, you can't draw a sweep up any better than that.
15 yards the result, and a first down at the Kansas City 47. 6 minutes to go, first quarter. Marcus. Rejected by Marco Coleman.
I think one of the reasons you have Marcus Allen in here is we know how much Schottenheimer hates fumbles. He cut Mike Dial, a tight end, this week, and they like Mike Dial, but he dropped some passes, he fumbled some things. Harvey Williams fumbled the ball on that last drive. He's sitting on the bench.
Marcus Allen, and Marty Schottenheimer's words, my December back. I want to have him healthy and sound and fresh in December. Williams is in now. On 2nd and 9. Williams to the 50. Now Paul Hackett, who studied under Bill Walsh with the 49ers for 3 years in the younger days of Joe Montana, doing as Walsh often did, running on passing downs, but it didn't work there.
And also in our conversation with him last night, there's Paul Hackett, like Bill Walsh, scripts the first 15 or so plays for down and distance, tries to stay with them as best he possibly can, but is willing to admit that only he and Joe Montana know this complete offense. They got to teach other coaches as well as players.
Yeah, 2/3, he said, that'll be about it for the year of the total offense. 3rd and 7. Good protection. Williams gets only 3 yards. Troy Vincent, the left corner on the coverage.
That was beautifully defensed.
And Jarvis Williams followed it up with a big hit.
They're trying to swing Harvey Williams out in the flat with a little man in front of him. You see number 80 up there, Jones, trying to make the block. But Vincent does an outstanding job to stay with the running back.
Boy, that could have been a penalty there. He was clearly out of bounds from the official's point of view. Williams didn't know that. Maybe there was no whistle. So Barker will punt. O.J. McDuffie, one of those backs to return. floater. Third catch for Duffy at the 20-yard line. Miami has the ball again with 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter and a 6-0 lead. Miami has accomplished something that no Kansas City opponent was able to do the first 6 games, and that's score a touchdown in the first quarter against this Chiefs defense. They start from the 20. 4:04 left, opening quarter. And Mitchell comes out gunning. Great throw. And another close to a first down. Kevin Ross on the coverage of Mark Ingram. His first catch is across the 30 and a first down.
Again, first down, little play action fake to Higgs, holds the linebackers, no coverage underneath Ingram. I like this. Stevens, the quarterback coach, Don Shula on the sideline making the calls. Throw on first down. That really upsets the defense.
6 for 9 now for Mitchell as Ingram has his first catch. The former Giant, 14 on the season, 2 touchdowns. Higgs. A good ad-lib effort, nearly 4 yards out of what appeared to be little. Joe Phillips and Doug Terry finally got him to the turf. Higgs is so short, he has trouble seeing the defense at 5'7".
Yeah, when they're in the I formation, I was noticing on tape yesterday, day before yesterday, that when Byers is the fullback, Higgs offsets. And I asked him, is that because of your height? He says, yeah, I can't see the snap. I can't see the line of scrimmage. So I just cheat over to the left a little bit.
That's when they're in the I. Mitchell makes it tougher. He's taller than Marino. This is Byers. The veteran fullback is to the 40-yard line. And across, so it'll be 3rd and short. Mickle and Simeon on the tackle for Kansas City.
Now this combination, Byers and Higgs, were in Philadelphia together. Also interesting to note that Mark Higgs is asthmatic and has an easy time of it down here in South Florida, but when he goes north, travels, he has to worry about medication and inhalators.
Athletically induced as well, and Terry Kirby, his replacement, or they're sharing that job, also an asthmatic. 3rd and 2. Higgs, first down, as he slams to the 43-yard line. Rogers and Simeon get him down.
Last week, 114 yards rushing. Last year, very short. Here's where he offsets a little bit in the eye. And you see Byers with an excellent lead block up front. You don't have to blow people away with that block. He hit 52 Tracy Rogers, and the timing of the play allowed Higgs to go by.
Ball just inside the Miami 44.
First down. Do they throw again here, Dick?
That's what they have been doing. 40 to go in the quarter. Long count. And indeed, the quick throw. Knocked away, incomplete. I don't believe they're going to call that a late signal, but waved off, incomplete. Mark Ingram drilled by Albert Lewis.
Again, the slant pattern. Lewis 29. Look at it. That's the other half of being a future Hall of Fame cornerback. If there is that moment where there's clearance when the ball hits the receiver's hands, you knock it away. Lewis has been terrific at it throughout his career.
Now in his 11th season from Grambling. Don't throw his way very often, so he's not getting the intercepts he once did. Long throw for Fryer. Is he in bounds? No signal yet. Yes, they're going to call that a catch. Oh, my. Kevin Ross thought he was out of bounds. 33-yard play.
Well, so far, let's give credit to the guy who chucked it. Scott Mitchell has not made a mistake yet. He puts this one out there perfectly. Kevin Ross, 31 in coverage, left foot. Oh. There used to be a day in the NFL where that would come back.
I was going to say, if Fryer kept in bounds on that catch, then he could be in Barnum and Bailey next week. It was the way he was being pinched. They may have said he was forced off, but that wasn't much of a hit. Now Mitchell, an open man underneath his Fryer again. And he has another Miami first down. The combination of Mitchell to Fryer is cooking today.
He's roasting. That's what he's doing. The thing that Miami has done here is mix up run and pass. Another first down throw. Fryer underneath. a defense looks at an offense, and off of last week, Miami ran so much on first down. Today they changed personality, and so far they've just got the best of this defense on game plan.
Big quarter for the ex-Patriot Fryer. Now on first down, Byers. Or make that Kirby. Terry Kirby gets the call. Trying to rip the ball away are the Chiefs. And Neil Smith not happy at all with Ron Heller, number 73.
It looks like he got his face up in his face mask there. Neil Smith didn't like it.
Final seconds of the first quarter. Miami with a touchdown, missed extra point, but when we come back for the second quarter, it'll be the Dolphins at the 8-yard line of Kansas City. Welcome back to Miami. Don Shula goes for number 324 to Ty Hallis. And you know, Mike Ditka has been flirting maybe with thoughts of going back to coaching.
Yeah.
He comes back, coaches about 20 years, wins 10. He had 112 wins, you know, and coaches 20. He wins 10 every year. Shula could be in trouble.
But, you know, there aren't enough chalkboards to break in a 20-year period for Ditka to come back.
He's got a chance to rebut that.
Yeah.
It's an exciting day, and this crowd has come with all of its energy to support Shula. And Shula wants to get it over with, so there isn't the talk, the interviews, all that accompanies his going after the Hallis mark, which is now inevitable. We start the second quarter, 6-0 Miami, and the Dolphins at the 8-yard line of the Chiefs, second down and 7. And Mitchell with another throw. The Byers breaks a tackle, touchdown.
Schottenheimer's making a note to himself. That Shula knows how to execute a game plan. Because to this point, Miami is just, they have beaten the Kansas City defense to the punch. I mean, they've just neutralized this defense with a beautifully executed game plan.
Mitchell, his second touchdown in this first half, 8 yards to Byers. Now Peterson to hold, and the kick is through, but there certainly was plenty of movement and lots of flags before the snap. Dale Carter on the corner may have jumped the gun for Kansas City.
Offside, number 34 on the defense. A 5-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The extra point is good. Timeout.
So 13-0 Miami, and the 5 yards marked off on the ensuing kickoff.
Just a back out of the backfield. Excellent protection. Byers breaks the tackle of Terry, and he's in for 6.
Now the Dolphins doing everything right early. So got Mitchell. Every bit the match to Joe Montana thus far with a 13-0 lead, and pitching it brilliantly here in the first half. The penalty means that Stoyanovich will kick off from the 40-yard line. So the wind on the field blowing more right to left, while the flag's up high, exactly the opposite. Montana itching to get his turn. See how the wind affects this kickoff as Ron Dickerson moves up to the 5-yard line. And that does knock it down. Dickerson at the 2. He's got to run it out. That's close to a safety. They're going to mark it at the 1-foot line. Darrell Malone there, first for Miami. And now Miami says that should be a touchdown. They recovered the ball in the end zone.
Now they've got one official standing on the field of play, Dick. He's already marking where the ball is. They can do all the arguing they want, but they've got it marked here. Took his eye away from it. You can see that. He does the smart thing. He knows he's got to stay out of the end zone. Forward progress stop, initial contact. It's in the field of play, but just barely.
And in that situation, those weren't Dolphins coming down. Those were Sharks.
You are right.
Inside the 1-yard line. Montana trying to get some running room and gets maybe a yard. Kimball Anders, the 221-pounder from Houston, pushed back. Jarvis William up to support the run.
Well, I'm not sure you can even give him a yard, Dick, where they put that ball down. I don't think he made an inch.
That's right. Statistically, 0. Montana is almost going to have to throw here the way Miami is setting up that defensive line. Marcus Allen now in with Ernie Thompson. Montana over the middle, incomplete. Oh my, Tim Barnett is drilled by Louis Oliver. Oliver doesn't want to demonstrate too much. He provoked Shula last week with his behavior.
Yeah, and that's worse than any fine you're going to get, being at the other end of one of Don Shula's diatribes about taking just a little too much time on an interception return for a touchdown. He was Johnny on the spot there, man. What a hit.
3rd and 10. Underneath, and it's Marcus Allen who gets a first down for Kansas City. Bruce Alexander, an extra defensive back, tripped him up. What a big play for Kansas City. They were about to have to punt from the back line of the end zone.
And can he make this play? Has throughout his career. There are a lot of things that Marcus Allen can do. Marty Schottenheimer told us last night he thought he was the best short yardage back he'd ever seen play against him or play for his team, but also one of the game's gifted receivers.
The best inside the 20, and that includes inside your own 20.
Oh, yes.
Montana pulling back from center, but no ball.
Well, I don't think the game could start any worse for Kansas City. Lousy field position, turnovers. The other team's offense is hot.
False start. Number 79 offense. Moving prior to the snap. 5 yards for first down.
Dave Zott, the left guard. They'll mark it back to the just inside the 8-yard line.
Well, Dick, you wonder if this start has something to do with just having the bye week for Kansas City. Get you out of sync a little bit.
Well, they weren't complaining about the bye week, the Chiefs. It allowed Montana to work on that injured hamstring. 1st and 15, and it's Marcus Allen. He fights to get to the 10. They had stuffed him right at the line of scrimmage and earns a couple of tough yards.
If there is one problem that Miami has, it's they don't have depth at defensive linemen. Not because they're not here, it's just that they're not healthy. And so far, this defensive line is doing an excellent job up front. Klingbeil got a sprained knee, still out there playing.
Down the middle to Davis. It's knocked away. Louis Oliver. That ball was right on the money, too.
Oliver, who was a very aggressive free safety, is a guy that teams like to try to take advantage of. Get some play action, hold him up at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, if Oliver's not there, the receiver is beating Troy Vincent. Willie Davis catches that one and goes for a long way.
Montana's 5 for 8, 42 yards. Third and a dozen for the Super Chief. Incomplete through the hands of Willie Davis. And the defense for Miami has held. For this crowd making the kind of noise that we heard at the Orange Bowl in the glory days of the 70s when Don Shula's teams dominated. And oh, how you hated to come to Miami. The heat and the noise unbearable.
And Don Shula.
That's right. Well, I won't use unbearable. You can use that one on Shula. Barker to punt. A wobbler. McDuffie on the run. Oh, as he hit Dale Carter. The returns punch for Kansas City, perfectly timed. Hits him at the 45-yard line.
Doubleheader. First, the dog pound will be rocking when John Elway leads the Denver Broncos into Cleveland for a battle with electrifying Eric Metcalf and the first-place Browns. Then, the L.A. Raiders, led by their tenacious D, blow into the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bears. The NFL on NBC next Sunday.
Sold out 73,000-seat Joe Robbie Stadium. The hit, Dale Carter on O.J. McDuffie. And for McDuffie to hold onto the ball there, a tribute to his talent. Miami with a 13-0 lead. Starts at their own 46. Fake by Mitchell. Throw to Byers, wide open. And Keith Byers has a first down at the Kansas City 40. Dale Carter, who has replaced Kevin Ross at the right corner, made the tackle.
Beautiful rollout executed by Scott Mitchell. And, of course, with Dan Marino, that's not something that Miami does a great deal. Yes, he'll roll out a little bit. You see Derek Thomas, 58, coming out there. The left-handed Mitchell. Byers right out there. Well, they have done an excellent job on first down of running a lot of different things out of the pass, not just the standard stuff.
That's out of that 49er playbook as well. That long fake handoff. Steve DeBerg does it as well as anyone.
Derek Thomas did just enough to allow Mitchell to get outside to have a nice clear path to Byers for the completion. So far, Kansas City defense thoroughly confused. We don't know what they're going to do next.
It's a first down at the 40. 10 for 14 now for Mitchell. Toss to Higgs. And Higgs drilled right at the line of scrimmage. Nice play by Tracy Simeon. Well, the college football season coming to a boil in November. And Notre Dame, after a wake-up call first half by the Middies, beat Navy yesterday, and Florida State continues to rumble. And 2 weeks from yesterday at South Bend. Now, Charlie Ward with some sore ribs. He says he'll be ready. Lou Holtz has a week off to prepare for the mighty Seminoles. #1 against #2, November 13th here on NBC. Mitchell. Wide open again is Byers. Look at the big guy push Kansas City aside. Another first down. Martz, Lewis, Mincy finally get him down.
Now, Dick, there's one reason that Byers is open. You have a tendency when you look at Miami's offense to double team Keith Jackson. So the other side of that is Keith Byers, the ex-tight end / fullback of the Philadelphia Eagles. You can't double cover both. In the first part of this game, we've heard nothing from Jackson. Byers is getting the attention.
255 pounds, tough to drag down. Mitchell changing plays. Looks for Fryer. Oh, and he had him on that quick slant, but had to hurry as Joe Phillips up the middle applying some pressure.
I thought Scott Mitchell's comment to us yesterday, Dick, was very prophetic. He said the best thing the coaches have done, they have not panicked. They have given me the same game plan that I've seen them give Dan Marino, which elevates the confidence of Scott Mitchell, tells the rest of the team, we think this kid can do it. So they stay with the same offense, and over the last 2.5 weeks, function perfectly.
Out of the shotgun. Second and 10. And this one thrown low and away, intended for Terry Kirby. Kirby scored against Indianapolis on a similar pass play a week ago.
First bad throw by Scott Mitchell.
Back to your comment about Mitchell and Shula. We asked him if Shula brought him in after the Marino injury. He says, you know, that's interesting. I had no one-on-one meeting with Shula. He just got up in front of the whole team, said Scott Mitchell's our quarterback. Here we go.
Absolutely. That was his first bad throw of the day.
Interesting game plan. Play selection. 17 passes, 10 runs for Miami.
That Don Shula.
3rd and 10.
Looks blitz, calls timeout. Very smart by Scott Mitchell.
He is that, a very cerebral young man. 13-0 with 10 left in the first half.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Diet Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Diet Dr. Pepper, the taste you've been looking for. By Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By Bigfoot Pizza from Pizza Hut, the biggest pizza you can get delivered. And by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold.
Until the injury to Marino, the most professional duty seen by Scott Mitchell was with the Orlando Thunder of the World League. Davis was his primary receiver, the Kansas City wideout. 3rd and 10. Inside to Kirby, eludes one tackler and is brought down close to a first down. Jay Taylor, one of 7 defensive backs on the field for Kansas City, made the stop.
And Dick, that's the beauty of that play. With 7 defensive backs, you can run a trap up the middle, you can run a quarterback draw, things like that. Or you can go with the middle screen. It looks like they're going for it.
On 4th and 1, the crowd wanted Shula to go for it. A field goal puts Miami ahead by more than 2 touchdowns. But Shula, feeling very confident in the offense, the way they moved the ball, gambles here on 4th and 1. Has to hurry.
It's a stout run defense.
2 for 3 on 4th down this year, and not this time, as Kansas City proves 73,000 coaches can be wrong. They forsake what would appear to be a fairly easy field goal by Stoyanovich, gamble on 4th and 1, and the Chiefs take over at their 21-yard line. And Marty Schottenheimer needed a play like that. 9:18 left in the opening half.
Game of the year. Heisman Trophy candidate Charlie Ward leads #1 Florida State against #2 Notre Dame in 2 weeks on NBC.
Watch this play right here. This is where the play is run. Watch Neil Smith, 90, stand up Ron Heller, and Heller gets an assist on the tackle on Mark Higgs.
Montana now trailing 13-0 instead of 16. Comes out with a quick toss to J.J. Burton, who had 14 catches coming in. And there's Smith, who was one of the stars against San Diego when he blocked 2 Charger field goals.
We've not mentioned his name much, but again, watch Neil Smith just absolutely hammer Ron Heller. Watch his helmet. Boom. Turns him around. Got him 3 yards in the offensive backfield. Galliamua gets credit for the tackle.
5 yards on the first down pass for Montana. Play action. And he throws upfield for Davis, and that is ruled out of bounds.
Well, that answers something, though. Joe can move around a little bit.
But remember what he told us last week, though. It's okay running side to side. It's when he has to push quickly going straight forward that he feels the hamstring.
And in that final drive, we saw the hamstring twinge a little bit. He had 2 weeks of treatment on it. I saw him in the locker room 2 weeks ago in San Diego, and he's got a big old bruise on the back of his hamstring where it was bleeding.
3rd and 5. Almost tripped, but gets it to Marcus Allen, who is drilled by Jarvis Williams, and that'll be good enough, I believe, for a first down. And for Joe Montana, that completion gives him 2,999 in his great career. One more, and he joins 3 other greats in the 3,000 completion club: Fran Tarkenton, Dan Fouts, Dan Marino.
I bet none of those guys knew when they were about to cross the 3,000 completion barrier. You know that? They just don't pay attention to that stuff.
Nothing to that. But for us, it kind of separates the elite, doesn't it? Harvey Williams on first down, and Williams, as they try to grab for the ball, may have grabbed something else. Flag goes down at the 37. And the way Kansas City acting, maybe it was a Chiefs blocker. Yeah, he was doing the grabbing. That tight end out there, Jonathan Hayes.
Hey. No, take it easy on tight end. Let's just wait and see what they have to say here.
You're probably right.
Holding. Number 84 offense. 10 yards. Still first down.
Well, he said 84, didn't he? I don't think he said 85. Oh, please make it 84.
You tight ends. That fraternity's too tight.
Jonathan Hayes is blocking on 91 Cross. Well, he might have a handful of something.
They didn't call that in the old days.
Oh,
when
yes,
you wore
they
that
did.
leather helmet that you wore with the Bengals.
Yes, they did.
First and 16, marked from the spot of the foul. Montana just does get it away. Incomplete to Anders. Marco Coleman was pushing Montana, forcing him to throw in a hurry. The ball was there. That would have been 3,000.
That would have been about 25 yards, too.
Montana doesn't say much. When he gives you that little look, he's saying a lot.
Anders had Dave Zott, the offensive guard, right out in front of him with one man between him and the first down marker, which was 16 yards away.
Well, they like Anders because he is a good receiver and came in as the number 2 man in receptions this season with 17. Willie Davis, the leader. On 2nd and 16. To the sidelines, incomplete. J.B. Brown covering J.J. Burton, the initials game.
I don't think there was any chance for that pass to be completed. Joe, caught by Bill Walsh, never wants to give into a defense. Always wants to make the throw. Never wants to throw it away.
Don Shula sends in a couple more defensive backs on 3rd and 16. Montana always tough on those crucial 3rd downs. Down the middle, has a man complete. First down across the 45. J.J. Burton in traffic. Troy Vincent makes the stop. 20 yards for Montana on his 3,000th career completion.
Well, Dick, it's a simple square in. See Burton at the top of the screen. Paul Hackett told us this is the spot that was played by John Taylor. The John Taylor spot does a lot of receiving inside. And J.J. only weighs about 158 pounds. So we're afraid we'll break him. And Montana sees that 3,000 completion prone.
Well, the view wasn't a flush one, was it? But for Montana, much more pleased that he completed a big throw on 3rd down. Gets one on 1st down here to Willie Davis. It's close to another Kansas City 1st down. Jarvis Williams, the tackler.
And, you know, going back to that San Diego game, even though Joe Montana in that last drive had 3 very poor completions, he walked back in the huddle like it was the first pass of the day. They'd make the completion. And that's the thing that separates the great ones from the almost great ones. It's play to play to play. It's not what I did last time.
Didn't even mention 4th down. He said a lot of the players didn't even know it was 4th down. Here comes the reverse. And not fooling anyone, Fred Jones. J.B. Brown was there. And Miami hands Kansas City a loss on 2nd and inches.
You're going to watch a block out here by Hassan Jones, 81, just left of the screen on Louis Oliver right there. As Jones goes by, Louis Oliver didn't like that block whatsoever. When he got up, he was all over Hassan Jones for trying to get him down around the legs on that reverse.
That looked like a legitimate block. He wasn't that low. 2-yard loss on the play, so it's 3rd and 3. How did Montana get out of that scrape on the 1st down to the tight end, Keith Cash? Dwight Hollier made the tackle.
Now they're starting to get things together here now. This was a tight end delay. You're going to see the tight end. Well, he's just out of the screen to the left. Goes out a couple of steps. It's cleared by Jonathan Hayes. He's still got that mobility.
Jeff Cross was a man swimming down low trying to get a piece of him.
And you know, as Paul Hackett said, that you ask him the difference between Joe Montana when he was with San Francisco in 83 and 85, and now, wait a minute, Montana's out.
Montana's gone out. That's Dave Craig running in and will spend a timeout. So perhaps Montana, and again, he said that's where it bothers him when he has to move straight forward, and in eluding Cross, he may have aggravated the hamstring. We'll check. We'll be right back. Montana injured, and here's the play as he eludes Jeff Cross.
It's either that stride or that planting of the left foot that have jarred the hamstring, pulled it slightly, but he's out, and Dave Craig is in.
Veteran Dave Craig with 211 touchdown passes in his career. Comes out with a beautiful play fake and then throws, almost intercepted. It did not fool J.B. Brown. Brian Cox had gone out on coverage of the fullback Kimball Anders, and then J.B. Brown, late entry on the defense, nearly intercepts.
You know, Dick, as they look at his leg, the doctors look at his leg, I can't tell that they're looking at his hamstring. They would have ice on it. You see the guy on the left-hand side, the trainer on the left-hand side with that blue thing. That's maybe to hold an ice bag, but normally, there's an ice bag going right on the hamstring.
Montana was 5 for 6 on this drive, 48 yards. Second down and 10, Kansas City. They trail 13-0, and they give to Anders. Kimball Anders. Brought down at the 35-yard line, where it will be 3rd and 6. Brown, the tackler. And there goes the ice on the back of that left leg.
And there's no way to tell which stride is the one that did it, but I think Joe knew he was living on borrowed time. O.J. Simpson said in the pregame, you know, if it gets slick out here from the rain, that's the worst thing you can have for a slightly pulled hamstring.
Brian Troy of Milton College. Dave Craig now at the Kansas City controls. On 3rd and 6. Hits the tight end Keith Cash for a first down at the 25-yard line. That was a good catch by Cash, who played with his twin brother at the University of Texas.
An important completion, too, for Dave Craig. I mean, I don't think we have to tell people in Kansas City how big a difference the offense is with Dave Craig at quarterback and Joe Montana at quarterback. And Dave Craig has had to learn his 3rd offense in 3 years when Paul Hackett came in here.
But with the Montana injury and being rested during the bye week, Craig was taking all the snaps. 12th play of this drive for Kansas City, and it's Harvey Williams flashing to the 21-yard line.
Now, on that offense, they started putting the offense in March 14th of last year when Paul Hackett was hired. And Marty said, you know, we'll do this. And Hackett's comment was, look, I can coach it all we want, but the guy who can execute it is sitting in San Francisco and available. My suggestion is to make this offense function at its best, you get Joe Montana. And they did.
Dave Craig, on the other hand, while a very capable veteran quarterback, like everyone else, it's going to take some time to learn. Oh, there's a fumble by Williams, and it's recovered by Miami. Williams was drilled. He's still down. Brian Cox was the man who forced the fumble, and he had 5 of those last year to lead the Miami team. That was a hit.
Harvey Williams still down.
Miami recovers at the 12-yard line.
That's his 2nd fumble of the day. It's straight ahead. Nice little block up front. Oh, the ball is already loose. It's loose early.
Klingbeil, along with Cox, made the tackle.
That play never got started, and Jarvis Williams is the guy with the recovery. That was a thunderous hit.
Well, they're going to be very careful with Williams. Make sure that there's nothing seriously injured before they move him.
He's moving his legs, so that's always a good sign.
So not a happy sequence of pictures for Kansas City and their fans. First, Joe Montana limps off with an aggravation of the hamstring, and now Harvey Williams down.
The lead blocker tries to help out, but Cox, a jarring hit right on the neck, and Klingbeil right there too. And the lead blocker didn't really do much good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Ernie Thompson.
You're joining us at this point. Harvey Williams had fumbled earlier in the game after they exchanged fumbles. First it was Miami giving up the ball, and then Williams fumbled at the Kansas City 35 that led to the 27-yard touchdown pass. Mitchell to Fryer, Irving Fryer. Extra point on the snap. There was a bobble, and Miami had to settle for a 6-0 lead. And then an 80-yard drive engineered by Mitchell culminated on a pass to Keith Byers, who ran through a tackler at the 5. An 8-yard play to make it 13-0. And now Williams, on a threatening drive by Kansas City, is hit by Cox, and the concern now of Williams' teammates makes all of us worry.
And Brian Cox is right over Harvey Williams. This young man is one of the most amazing people I've come across. On the field, he's an absolute monster. Off the field, this is one of the most congenial, personable young men you'll ever meet in your life.
So as they tend to Harvey Williams, piece of business tonight on NBC. John Forsythe with an all-new eyewitness video. Then Roy Scheider leads his crew an all-new Sequest adventure from executive producers David Burke and Steven Spielberg. Sequest, and that'll be followed by the network television premiere, a movie, One Good Cop, starring Michael Keaton. That's all tonight, beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Well, Joe Montana and Dave Craig, and the difference is somewhat dramatic. They've each played prior to today in 3 games. Here's Montana's numbers: yards, points, and 5 turnovers. When Craig has been the quarterback, the yardage significantly less, points less than half, and 4 more turnovers. Now, all those turnovers are not Craig's problems. You can't blame him for a fumble.
And again, our conversation with Paul Hackett, he said, look, Joe Montana and I are up here on this offense, and everybody else is at a different level. In fact, in the bye week, they didn't add anything to their offense. They reviewed the entire thing. So Craig, 2 years ago, was with Seattle, is traded for, acquired by Kansas City, learns another offense from Joe Pendry last year. This year, Paul Hackett.
Well, Paul Hackett has lost his ace. His hand has been definitely reduced. We've got the timeout. Concern continues for running back Harvey Williams. You see Marcus Allen, 32, kneeling there at his feet. They've been kidding Harvey Williams. We've been talking to Williams, and he said they're calling me Junior Marcus. He said I am dressing like him, and as we thought about it, he has the same laugh and some of the same expressions as Marcus Allen, and not a bad man to emulate.
No.
There they are, and Marcus the veteran, and his new pupil Harvey Williams.
And then his wife made it all the worse. Harvey Williams' wife went out and bought an automobile, and it happened to be the same one that Marcus already owns.
Same model and same color.
Same color. So now everybody is calling Harvey Marcus Jr.
And we can carry that comparison even another step. Let's hope that this injury is one that is not serious. Often this is precautionary. Unlike your day, even, Bob Trumpy, where somebody get an injury of this sort, and you'd help him to his feet, and they kind of walk off. And if there was any kind of a spinal damage, then it was only aggravated. Here, they're not going to take any chance.
In fact, my generation, you saw a player down like that, being a helpful teammate, you go over, undo his chin strap, try to get his helmet off. That's the worst thing you could possibly do for a player, and all players are now encouraged to just leave the guy alone. Make sure he's breathing, and yell frantically for the trainers to come to the sideline. You see the trainer is holding his head very, very still. They take no chances with these anymore.
Some serious thoughts going from that Kansas City bench about their fallen comrade. You saw him blinking his eyes, so he is conscious.
Let me tell you something about that. A long time ago, early 70s, had a teammate, Ken Dyer, hurt in Green Bay against the Green Bay Packers. And when you see an injury like that, Ken Dyer ended up to have a pretty serious neck injury, and not predicting that that's going to happen to Harvey Williams. But seldom do you see players from both sides of the ball suddenly root for the same thing. And everybody roots that there is no player permanently injured, partially injured, or even with a heavy headache when the game is over. Hey, let's play it hard. Let's get out of here and make sure that everybody's healthy for next week. But it is a sobering effect on your team when you see an injured player on the field for both sides, not just the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, the athlete almost in every sport thinks of himself or herself as bulletproof.
Yep.
And certainly in this game, that's the case with the heavy equipment and protective gear.
And you know, that doesn't stop after you retire from the game. That feeling goes on for quite a while until you realize that you are as susceptible to injury as anybody else. You kind of build that into your system, though, that shield around you that you can take all the hits that anybody can give you as a young kid building up to the NFL. Last year I played was 1977. I can't believe these players absorb the hits that they absorb now and play next week.
Well, there are a lot of theories, but one I have is that the helmet has become not only protective but a weapon, and has added this whole quality of no fear to the game.
Handoff hit comes from the left-hand side. Brian Cox. Looks like a shot right to the jaw or the temple. Ball is loose.
You know, if there's any good news here, it's the fact that there wasn't the big snap of the head and neck that you'll see in the very severe high neck injuries. I mean, there was, you know, the definite collision helmet on helmet, but it wasn't that straight back extension of the spine that can create such hazardous effects.
You know, the NFL has done a lot to try to alleviate that. They've fined Chuck Cecil very heavily of the Phoenix Cardinals, trying to get the players not to use the helmet, the crown of the helmet, as a weapon. I don't think there was anything illegal about that hit by Brian Cox.
See what you hit. Very carefully sliding the board underneath Williams before they transport him.
And while all the stadia now in the NFL have x-ray machines right off the playing surface here, with an injury suspected with the neck, they go straight to a hospital, and with the MRIs and everything else that they can do, they'll know in pretty short order if in fact there is any problem with Harvey Williams.
Joe Montana, who had spurred this drive for Kansas City, trailing 13-0, and then hobbled off with apparently re-pulling that hamstring, kind of injury that, especially in advancing years, is difficult to heal. And on a much more serious note, the extent of the injury to Harvey Williams. Now you see Kevin Ross and some of the others pulling the teammates back away near the ball, and
jog my memory. Wasn't Dennis Byrd hurt against the Kansas City Chiefs last year in New York? Dave Craig was the quarterback.
It was a freak injury. I mean, in terms of how that one happened, running into your own man.
Yeah, well, seeing this once in your professional career is bad enough. Seeing it twice in successive seasons, it's never comfortable.
Well, to be sure, O.J. Simpson is here, and he will follow this story. He'll have a report for us, and hopefully before this day is over, we'll have some very good news about Harvey Williams.
You bet. To go back a year, and not to relate this to Dennis Byrd, but if you talk to the team doctors of the New York Jets, they give the most credit to the Jet trainer who went out, put his hand on the helmet of Dennis Byrd, and kept it there until the MRI was done at the hospital. He did not take his hands off the helmet. And whatever mobility Dennis Byrd got and whatever positive came from his devastating injury, I don't know the name of the trainer, but he did not take his hands off of that helmet, even going up through the aisle on the stretcher in the ambulance. He stayed right there.
Nick Lowry, Marcus Allen. The obvious concern, Fellow McDaniels. Well, it's inherent within the game that everyone expects there will be injuries, and every parent hopes that it just is never this serious. Well, you've been in this situation where you've seen a teammate or an opponent seriously injured. How long does it take for you to? I mean, the obvious concern is you'd almost like to say, let's just call it here and hope he's okay. That isn't what can happen. How long before you can really concentrate on the game itself, get back into that mode?
Dick, it doesn't come back in minutes. It doesn't come back in hours, especially until you hear how your teammate is officially. I mean, it's devastating. Harvey Williams and Marcus Allen very close. I mean, this is a foxhole mentality of all these professional football players on the team, and when one's hurt, they all hurt a little bit. It's not something you get over until you see the guy back in his normal circumstance.
I know his wife Lori is watching back in Kansas City, daughter Brittany and Harvey III. I'm sure you have plenty of love surrounding you, and we will give you the information as soon as we receive anything official. Extraordinarily long period of time as they one would think if this were a very serious injury that there would be some haste. I mean, not careful haste, but being certain that everything was right before they got Harvey Williams to some medical attention. And
you don't want to be a doctor, but at the same time, the plus side of this is you don't see oxygen on Harvey. You don't see things like that. I mean, he appears to be strapped down and can't move, but I mean, they're not doing emergency procedures on Harvey Williams. In the case of Ken Dyer, my teammate in Green Bay, had to pry his mouth open, get a tube down his throat to get him to breathe. So you know, he must be able to feel something, because I think he's telling the trainer maybe tape too tight on my side, something like that, you know. So you look for any little sign.
Electric cart there rather than the stretcher, mobile stretcher, so they will transport Williams to medical attention by that route. And this crowd that's been standing stunned for the last 20 minutes. And no one feels this injury more deeply than Brian Cox.
Yeah.
And the helmet stays on. Well, that is exactly how it should be, but just the opposite of how it once was.
Yes.
Strapped in position becomes a part of the protective nature of caring for this injury.
Still has the mouthpiece in his mouth too. See that?
Oh my. Well, now back to the action is Scott Mitchell after the Williams fumble at the 12-yard line. There's 2 minutes and 34 seconds left in this first half. And it's Mark Higgs for a couple to the 14-yard line. Derek Thomas, the hit.
This delay has even had an effect on the fans.
Now you almost feel guilty cheering the tackle.
Agreed. No question about it.
as if Mitchell's in no hurry, doesn't have to run a play before the 2-minute warning. His young friend Harvey Williams, Marcus Allen, still expressing that concern. The 2-minute timeout.
I had a chance to talk to Dr. Gieske, who's the Dolphin doctor. He assisted with Harvey Williams. He said Harvey has a neck problem, but he does have feeling in both his hands and his leg, and he was able to speak, and they're taking him to the hospital for further diagnosis.
All right, thank you, O.J. That is good news. So there's feeling in the upper and lower extremities, and Harvey Williams conscious. Mark Higgs loses a yard on 2nd and 8. Dan Saliamua with another stop.
You got to start up with emotion and get yourself back up into this game as a player, offensively and defensively, and in the broadcast booth.
Domino Pizza halftime report, NFL Live, and a feature on Eric Metcalf. 2 touchdown punt returns against the Steelers. A career game for Metcalf. He's part of our halftime feature. 3rd and 9. And it's Kirby, and he gets to the 15. That's all. So 3 running plays produce a total of 3 yards, and Kevin Ross calls timeout with 1:12 left in the half. Rogers and Saliamua make the stop. So the Chiefs, with I believe 2 timeouts, we'll have to check officially. That information with all the modern scoreboards, they don't give you that information. The AFC Central, this is their bye week, and the Browns, by way of Metcalf's heroics, beating the Steelers to take a 1-game lead. Don't count out Houston yet. And next Sunday in our doubleheader, Denver-Cleveland will be a primary game for most of you early. San Diego and the Vikings. Seattle goes to Houston. Buffalo-New England. That is always a good game. Pittsburgh-Cincinnati. And the Raiders-Chicago will be at Soldier Field for that matchup. And Miami will be in New York against the Jets as Joe Montana gets a ride back into the locker room to attend to that hamstring. First punt by Dale Hatcher. Dale Carter at the other end at the 41. They got a good wall set up for him. 50, 40. Flag is down as Carter finally stepped out of bounds, or did he? Yes, at the 26-yard line. But a flag down at the 50.
And the official that threw that flag ran about 20 yards to throw it on that spot.
It was well set up by the Chiefs, but one hiccup, illegal block at midfield. 44-yard punt, 33 on the return, but that's being brought back. Kurt Schottenheimer, Marty's younger brother, who is the commander of the special teams for Kansas City, not at all pleased with that flag.
Why is it that all special teams coaches tend to look like that?
Illegal block during the return, number 53. 10 yards. That'll be a first down.
Sandro Stevens is 53. So the ball marked back at the 40-yard line with 55 seconds to go. Dave Craig for the injured Joe Montana, and Marcus Allen in for Harvey Williams. It's the best field position for a start of the Kansas City Steelers today by far. Craig with a little screen to Marcus Allen. He has 5 and puts it out of bounds after a 7-yard pickup, and that stops the clock. 47 seconds, and Allen staying along the sidelines and working his way out of bounds.
That's the experience. He hesitated for a moment to see if he'd get inside Dwight Hyer, number 50, but then he allowed the tackle to take him out, stop the clock, save the timeout.
Kansas City has 1 timeout left. Miami with 2. 13-0, the Dolphins lead, final minute, first half. Craig to Marcus. working in traffic to the 45, and time is called. So that'll be the final timeout for the Chiefs with 38 seconds remaining in the half. Allen gets the first down at the 45 of the Dolphins.
They need something positively here for the offense, Dave Craig, just to have a look. The headset goes from Marty Schottenheimer to Dave Craig, talking to Paul Hackett upstairs. Direct communication to the guy that now knows the offense best and can function. There's Paul Hackett.
Hackett, the former head coach at the University of Pittsburgh. He was one of George Allen's assistants for 3 years in the early 80s with San Francisco and the younger Montana days.
Now what they do here is you give your quarterback 2 or 3 plays, and then there's always a built-in automatic play at the end of those 2 or 3. Paul Hackett's inventorying with this defense, these are the 2 plays. With this defense, these are the 2 plays. Then the automatic. Throw the ball down, stop the clock. Craig is getting everything in his head. He'll call them to the entire team. There'll be 2 plays that they run and 1 that's an automatic to stop the clock.
They mark the ball, and the play clock is already at 12 seconds. Trailing by 13, even a field goal would give Kansas City certainly in need of an emotional boost. To the sidelines, and out of bounds quickly is Tim Barnett.
And Miami's choice here defensively, Dick, is using 7 defensive backs. 4-man front, 7 defensive backs.
Craig in relief of Joe Montana, 4 for 5 here in the second quarter. Hassan Jones to the left and 3 wide receivers to the right, Davis, Barnett, and Burden. Craig has it knocked away. Backside, Marco Coleman forces the fumble, and it's recovered by the Chiefs. Will Shields is the man who falls on it for Kansas City. The clock is running. Craig, who leads the NFL in fumbles, 121 career fumbles. And timeout called now by Miami.
Coleman does an excellent job, Dick, on that previous play. On the other side of the field, you'll see Coleman come around. John Alt, top of the screen, just gets that arm out, swipes it away, and then Will Shields, number 68, is the man with the recovery. So maintain possession, control the ball, but the clock keeps running too. I don't know why Miami took a timeout.
That's a big play by the rookie Shields from Nebraska. Miami gets the ball there, and they have perhaps a time for a play and a long field goal try by Stoyanovich. So Shields' alertness coming back to get that ball may have saved Kansas City a 3-pointer. Ball is spotted at the 50-yard line with 8 seconds to go, and either a long out that might get you in a long field goal range, or you go for it all on the flea flicker, and Nick Lowry, just in case, going to be loosened.
Yeah, the flea flicker wouldn't work here. You're going to have a safety or 2 back at about the 15-yard line, but a hook and lateral, try for interference, something like that.
Well, they flood the right side, trips to the right. Someone with Miami was offside. Whether or not drawn, we'll see. The throw is to Hassan Jones, completes to the 29-yard line. So that puts, with the wind, Lowry in range. 21-yard play.
Yeah, Brian Cox, I believe, was the guy who was offsides. Yeah, they'll take the reception.
Offsides, defense, number 51. Penalty is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
Lowry has kicked a 52-yarder this year. And Barker, who was his holder and studied Steve Largent, who is one of the best holders while with the Seahawks, is kneeling just outside the 37. 47-yard attempt by Lowry, who is the most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history. 80%. On its way, and it is perfect. So the veteran Lowry gives the Kansas City Chiefs a much-needed 3 points and also an emotional boost after a disastrous second quarter where they lost their quarterback Joe Montana and, more seriously, their running back Harvey Williams. At the intermission, the Dolphins 13, the Chiefs 3 in a battle of 5-1 teams. We go now to NFL Live in New York. Ready? There's Don Shula getting ready for the second half, and the other side of today's first half, the injury report, and up to date on that. Let's go down to Juice.
Well, the latest word on Harvey Williams is that he has both a head and neck injury. The good news is he has feeling in all of his limbs. At halftime, they brought him out of the x-ray room in an ambulance. They were going to a helicopter. They were going to helicopter him to the hospital. As far as Joe Montana is concerned, I spoke to Joe as he got to the locker room. As you can see, he had a lot of difficulty moving. He was totally frustrated. He said, Juice, it's the same old thing, and I'm afraid, well, he's certainly not going to play any more today. I'm afraid that he's going to have to live with that for the rest of the season. If that wasn't enough bad news, starting nose tackle Dan Salia, right before the half, the guy who shot part of the halftime gun got into his eye, brought him down to his knees, but to his knees rather. But the good news there, he came out. Appears as if he. That's the word.
All right, having some trouble with OJ's mic. As the second half underway, the kick comes down to O.J. McDuffie for the Miami Dolphins, and McDuffie is to the 23-yard line. Tackled by Martin Bayless. So look at the Coors Light first half statistics, Bob Trumpy.
Like I say, neither team running very well, both throwing the ball extremely well. And I think the passing yardage by the Miami Dolphins in the first half, beautifully executed game plan. The two turnovers, of course, both involving Harvey Williams, and pretty even.
And the one thing Kansas City held firm on, tough against the run, only 30 yards allowed, a 2.1 average. And the first play incomplete as Mitchell's arm appeared to be struck. What, OJ, in case you didn't get all the information, Dan Salia is all right, but the freak injury to him was when they shot the gun at the end of the half. Apparently, something from that cartridge went into the eye of Salia standing along the sidelines, and there was some concern as to whether or not he'd be able to play second half. Thank goodness he's all right.
It was not a good half for Kansas City in any way you want to look at it.
13-3 as we open the second half. And Mitchell to throw again. Complete to Ingram. Now it's a foot race. Simeon can't catch him. Ingram all the way for a touchdown. Reception from Scott Mitchell, who has thrown 3 touchdown passes today.
That's his third touchdown reception as a Miami Dolphin, first from Scott Mitchell.
And it's Mitchell's longest touchdown throw. His previous was 57 yards. Stoyanovich with a point after, and Miami strikes quickly to open the second half and build the lead to 20-3.
This is a double rotation zone. You saw 31 Ross go up, then it's left up to Terry, the safety, to cover Mark Ingram, and it did not work.
Ingram with 2 Super Bowl rings with the Giants. He knows the way to go.
BC is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered. By Acura, who invites you to test drive the new 1994 Acura Integra. By MCI, the company that brings you proof positive. And by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
This big crowd brought back to life on the strike. Scott Mitchell to Mark Ingram, 77 yards. Stoyanovich now out of the Jarvis Williams hole to kick it off. Ron Dickerson, the rookie from Arkansas, spinning up to get it at the 14. Has an avenue. Oh, he went right when it looked like he had all kinds of blocking to the left. He's out to the 30-yard line.
But he did hang on to it.
Chuck Bulla made the tackle.
Dick, watch what happens here. Here's the double rotation zone, the safety out. When Keith Jackson goes out here, it draws the corner up. Ingram is right here, and Scott Mitchell again makes the perfect choice. He gets the ball to the right guy, reads the defense perfectly, and then Mark Ingram against the safety Terry. Terry's not going to win that battle. 77 yards later, quick score.
Dave Craig for Joe Montana, the quarterback for Kansas City. And Craig comes out throwing to the sidelines, and it dropped. Willie Davis. Give you an idea of what Mitchell has done today. Kansas City has allowed an average of only 187 yards passing against them this season. And Mitchell, as you can see, has 67 more yards than that, and we're early in the third.
13 of 22. Anything around 20 to 25 attempts by Scott Mitchell as he gets into the groove. There's Gary Stevens, the quarterback coach. Perfect choice, right balance for the Miami offense.
We're getting a medical report on Harvey Williams. We'll give you that right after this play. 2nd and 10. Quick hitch. And Davis catches this one and then is driven back by Grimsley and Vincent. Word we now have, medical report is that, and it's a good one, Harvey Williams did not suffer serious neck injuries. The x-rays have shown no displacement there. The neck injury is not serious, but it's the head injury, apparently having difficulty coming to full consciousness, much like a fighter being knocked out, and it is the head injury that they're treating. Have taken him by helicopter to a nearby hospital. So some of that news is very good.
That's great news.
3rd down and 3. Craig on a swing to Marcus Allen. Allen breaks out of a tackle, tripped up. Let's see where they mark it. Right on the 40. And that'll be, well, it might have to measure. And it was the second effort by Allen to get to that 40-yard line. Looks as if they were going to get him beforehand. It was Marco Coleman with the tackle.
Marcus slipped just a little bit when he made that spin move, Dick. I don't think Kansas City has any choice yet. Down 13-3, backup quarterback.
20-3.
20-3, excuse me. Hurt running back. Let's go for it. Only 9 seconds on the clock, though.
Boy, this is a risk this early. 13 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, and they gamble. Dave Craig, 4th and inches at their own 40, unless he just wants to try to draw Miami offside.
Whoops.
Yep, they did. But whether or not Kansas City moved first, let's see.
I think
Will Shields, the right guard, may have hunched back.
they tricked themselves.
False start. Number 66 offense. Moving prior to
Yeah, that would have been out of Marty Schottenheimer's nature. This much time left to go for it in his own end.
I believe it's right here. Sigler, the offensive tackle, who it's a long count. You see Dave Craig. I mean, he's gyrating there, calling the snap count, and he tricked his own man.
Yeah, it was Sigler on the 49er. So Barker will punt it. O.J. McDuffie drifting back to his 15. Beautiful kick. McDuffie at the 15. And shot down after a 2-yard return. With it a timeout. 12:41 left in the third. Miami in the lead.
Doubleheader. First, the dog pound will be rocking when John Elway leads the Denver Broncos into Cleveland for a battle with electrifying Eric Metcalf and the first-place Browns. Then the LA Raiders, led by their tenacious D, blow into the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bears. The NFL on NBC next Sunday.
Welcome back to Miami, and just reflecting on the Raiders and that defense. Art Shell isn't often open in his praise of his team, but this week he said that defensive line may just be as good as he's seen.
That's a Super Bowl defense, the Los Angeles Raiders.
Against the Bears next week in our late game of the doubleheader. Here it's Miami trying to go 6-1, and Mitchell has the hot hand. He goes long to Ingram again, and Albert Lewis able to bat it away. They don't go off into Lewis's side, who covers it. He said, no, you're not going to do that to me. Maybe someone else, but not to me.
He's looking right to the Miami bench, too. Ball underthrown. Again, that nice long arm by Scott Mitchell, the play action fake. That's into the wind. It kind of got held up there a little bit, but Lewis, he doesn't let many get behind him.
One of the real thoroughbreds in this league. 12:34 left in the third period. And 2nd and 10, Mitchell again to throw. Underneath to Kirby. And Kirby picked up by Tracy Simeon. Saliamua finished it off. Let's check the Miami offense. Not able to run, but no one has against Kansas City this year. But passing, 12 yards per attempt. Tracy Rogers injured on the play for Kansas City, and boy, it does come in torrents, doesn't it, when you get the injuries?
Marty Schottenheimer may lobby the NFL and never play down here again.
It'll be 3rd down and 1, so Shula sends in the tight ends, Beatty and Ronnie Williams, joining Keith Jackson. That's how much they need on 3rd down. For Kansas City, they came to Miami sporting a 4-game win streak and a 5-1 record. Their best start since 1971, and you folks will recall both in Miami and Kansas City, Christmas Day '71, as Kansas City went on along with Miami to the AFC Championship that was decided in 2 overtimes Christmas Day, when Garo Yepremian became a national household word with and he was in his own world, yes, too, as we learned later in the Super Bowl.
Still is, as a matter of fact.
And Miami was victorious. One of the classics in NFL history. But that was a Kansas City start. And of course, talking about starts and finishes, that 72 unprecedented, winning all the games. Shula 17-0. They attend to Tracy Rogers, so we'll take this break for a commercial word. Tracy Rogers jogged off under his own power. The left shoulder, a pinch of that shoulder, the injury. Here's the tackle.
He reaches his arm out here to try to stop Kirby. Kirby, a big kid. A stinger, shoulder injury, something like that. But luckily he's able to get up, go off the field under his own power. The doctor gets a game ball today for Kansas City as far as I'm concerned.
That's for sure. Unanimous vote. 3rd and inches. Play action fake by Mitchell. He's going to run it. And those long legs at 6'6", out of bounds at the Kansas City bench with a 1st down. One of the longer runs of the day for Miami. 12 yards.
And we've seen this play several times, Dick. This long arm out here faking the handoff and the rollout. The intended receiver, Greg Beatty, 84, was open down the field a little bit, but Mitchell, he kind of runs like Dan Marino, doesn't he? He's got that 3-bar face mask, holding the ball out there by himself.
Seven-yard gain. Mitchell now is 2 for 12 yards on the day. And Kansas City forced to use a timeout. It's been a tough day for the Chiefs. Well, if you only watch racing once a year, next Saturday's the time. The Breeders' Cup, $10 million, 7 races from beautiful Santa Anita Park in Arcadia, California, live here on NBC. 11:39 left in the 3rd. Miami in command, 20-3, and a 1st down play. Kirby to the 48-yard line, 1st down. Miami continues to romp. We go to New York.
To look at what may or may not be a good sign for the Jets, Dick. Brad Baxter caps off an 80-yard 3rd quarter drive, putting the ball into the end zone from 2 yards out to put the Jets ahead of the Giants 10-6. Of course, all this year, the worst thing that can happen to the Jets in a game is to take the lead, but they've got it now. Dick and Trump.
Too true. Too true, Jim. Give to Kirby on first down. And he gets to the 49 of Kansas City. Jim Lampley alluding to the fact that they had the 21-0 lead against Philadelphia and a 17-0 lead against the Raiders and couldn't hold those large leads. Ahead once again against the Giants are the Jets in the battle for some bragging rights.
I think it goes back farther than just this season. Didn't we have a stat about a third of their losses under Bruce Coslet have come with double-digit leads in the first half?
Sure, your former buddy with the Bengals will be pleased that you brought that out to our national audience.
I apologize.
Second down and 8. And the quick key to the Ingram and another Miami first down.
Goodness.
My, oh my, what an offense for Miami today, and Mitchell running it like a 10-year veteran.
Look at his smile on his face again. Lewis, bump and run coverage, no bump. And Ingram's had that slant all day long. Dick, I have not seen a game plan executed better since the Super Bowl by Dallas and Troy Aikman. This kid has not made a mistake. One bad throw that I can remember the whole day.
You're allowed a few of those. That one fell harmlessly incomplete. Little misdirection, and Kirby was juggling the handoff. Gains 1. Mickle and Saliamua make the tackle. Number 92, Darren Mickle, who played at Florida but grew up within crowd noise distance of this stadium, just 2 blocks away.
So he's definitely coming home. I think they had to tear down part of his neighborhood to build Joe Robbie Stadium.
Booger came out after his junior year. He was suspended his senior year for failing to attend classes at Florida. Second and 9, it's Byers. He can still rumble. Another first down. And they're chewing up a defense on this drive that has been almost impossible to run against.
Oh, that was a very easy 11-yard run. And watch the lead block by 43 Kirby. You're going to see it come up. See, he gets in the way. The linebacker kind of manhandles him. But you don't have to put people on the ground to have an effective block out in front of a running back.
Charles Mincy made the tackle. David Whitmore, who has been a starting strong safety, has had knee surgery. And so Mincy now takes over that role. Leading 20-3. Pitch back to Mitchell. Looking for Fryer. He's well covered. And Mincy not fooled, nor was Albert Lewis. And in fact, it appeared that Kansas City had a pretty good shot at the intercept.
Dick, I'm shocked at that call. Not because of the trickiness. There wasn't enough room to run that pattern. I mean,
that's a midfield or your own end play. Huh?
You need 50 yards to get that thing in the end zone. And there just wasn't enough.
Oh, Mitchell looks to the sidelines for the call on 2nd and 10.
Well, look, it's a high percentage play. You either catch it because he's wide open, you throw it out of the end zone.
Hicks and Byers behind Mitchell, and then they give to Fryer on the end around. Oh, what a solid open field tackle by the Rock, Kevin Ross.
Boy, how many times has he done that to players coming in his area? I mean, he plays off a block too. Watch the right-hand side of the screen. You see there, Ingram's trying to block him, throws him out of the way. Kiss. Goodness.
Ross, who's a tackle earlier in the game, forced a fumble from Tony Martin, and Martin has not returned a knee injury.
He's not like most cornerbacks in the NFL. I mean, he's got a full bar face mask. When you see cornerbacks like that, you know he's going to be up in your kisser.
Come up and challenge the run, and the 40-second clock expires. Did they call a time beforehand? Yes, just did. So Mitchell will come over to talk to the general, the jaw, Don Shula. Hired at 33 by Carroll Rosenblum in the year 1963 in Baltimore. He had studied well under Blanton Collier, Paul Brown with the Cleveland Browns as a player. And comparing him with the legend, George Halas Papa Bear, Halas 9 more years than Shula and a handful more games coached. The seasons were shorter in those years, and Shula just 1 away in the win total. But when you look at wins and losses, it's incredible. They're just a game apart.
Yeah. And of course, these wins are postseason wins too. It's not just regular season wins. So the two of them certainly dominated a lot of years. In fact,
Palace only got one postseason chance.
Yes,
where
he did.
Shula might get 3 or 4 games.
That's right.
Well, the New York Jets leading by 4 on the Baxter run, and that now in the 4th quarter. We are midpoint of the 3rd period here at Joe Robbie Stadium because of the 16-minute delay and other delays due to injuries, Harvey Williams being the most serious, and helicopter to a hospital. 3rd down and long for Mitchell. Throws underneath to Ingram, and he fumbles the ball, and it's still loose, and Kansas City finally recovers. It appeared to be Neil Smith that finally fell on the ball, or they...
Yeah, it was.
Yes. They're waving the clock to continue, but Neil Smith has the ball. How can that be? This change of possession, the clock has to stop.
This is that slip screen Miami runs, and it was well covered. It looked like Kevin Ross, Dale Carter was right there on the receiver. Ingram never really had a chance, and Kansas City does come up with the football, and that frankly is the only way Miami can get back in the game. Excuse me, Kansas City can get back in the game. For Miami to put the ball on the ground all over the place.
So Ingram's fumble, there were plenty of hands on it from both sides, and it finally rolls to Neil Smith. Chiefs trailing 20-3, and backup quarterback Dave Craig, their starter all of last year, has the ball at the 20-yard line. Harvey Williams transported out of the stadium and on the stretcher, and then to a helicopter and to a local hospital. We again repeat the news. The neck injury does not appear serious. The head injury is their concern. But all precautionary methods and means taken, as you can see. From the 20. Todd McNair, a rare chance to run the ball. He was ready. He's been frustrated all season long. Used sparingly. That's only his 4th carry of the year, and he runs for a pickup of plenty. 18.
And you know, I think it's going to come back though.
There is no infraction on the play. First down. There's no infraction on the play.
Oh, Kansas City thought there was. I think the reason McNair is in there, Dick, is to rest Marcus Allen, not use him up in the middle stretch of this season. Marty Schottenheimer said to us last night that he didn't like how much he had used Marcus to this point. He may come in a little bit. They got to find another running back here.
Well, McNair has led Kansas City the last 4 years. He's been their leading pass receiver, 155 catches. And they're not used much on the ground, but he's always said, hey, use me, I can run. And he showed good skills on that first down carry out to the 38. Craig to Anders. And the fullback breaks the tackle, and he's in Miami territory inside the 45-yard line. Louis Oliver finally dragged him out of bounds. 19 more for Kansas City.
Now, is that a play you've seen Joe Montana and the San Francisco 49ers run time after time after time?
Rathman or Craig, either one.
Look quickly downfield to the square, and if he's not open, you throw to the back out in the flat. And it's always a fullback, it seems, and he always breaks a tackle. And a 2-yard pass ends up being an 18-yard gain.
Marcus Allen comes in. Craig's done a good job off the bench. But no points yet. Play action Craig. He goes to the sideline, complete to Willie Davis. Another first down. 3 straight plays, 3 first downs. 15 on that one.
This Willie Davis is an interesting kid. Was a wishbone player in college. He does not have real natural hands. Marty Schottenheimer said in the offseason he spent hours learning how to catch the football. His quarterback in the World Football League, where he started his career, just happened to be Scott Mitchell. And Scott said Willie always wanted the football.
So 18 yards, 19 yards, 15 yards, 3 big plays. And now Marcus Allen, is he ripped up and fumbles the ball. And Kansas City recovers. And Marcus Allen, well, now it gets loose again, and Miami has it. Oh, my. Brian Cox, number 51, comes up with it, his second recovery today. Plus, he's forced to fumble. How'd that ball get away from the Chief? He had it totally covered right there.
Should be coming right at you. Lead block by Anders, but he cuts back. It's Cross who makes the initial hit. Oh, his own player, Grunhardt, 61, knees the ball out of Marcus Allen's arm.
Jonathan Hayes had it there and slid right over the top of it.
Goodness. And a guy that put the point on the football on either end, he was an absolute genius. You know, just made this game. Those 2 points.
I'm not sure a lot of coaches would agree that made the game. Certainly presents the wonderful unpredictability of the ball on the ground. So from the 39, Miami gets it back. And it's Higgs, a little misdirect. Did not fool the Chiefs, and a flag is thrown. Thomas and Phillips collaborate on the stop. So the Chiefs have had a couple good drives. One on the Harvey Williams fumble ended, and this one Marcus Allen coughs it up.
Holding. Number 69 offense. 10 yards. Still first down.
Well, I just saw a picture of Marty Schottenheimer there. He hates fumbling more than he hates 3-putts. And I know he hates 3-putts. Look at that. Right?
3 fumbles. Chiefs have given up the ball. He does not want to be part of any Don Shula celebration. He made that clear all week long. First and 20, Higgs. And Tracy Simeon only drops him at the 37-38 yard line. Simeon, that inside linebacker who has the strength to take on 300-pound guards.
And you know, Dick, even though Houston shut out Kansas City 30-0, no team has taken apart this Kansas City defense the way Miami has today. No team so far this year.
Don Shula's Dolphins had a good success running the ball the last drive, averaged 6.5 a carry after only 2.1 the entire first half. Mitchell, little toss, but Byers gets a beautiful block, and Byers is out of bounds at the 50. Mark Ingram, the wide receiver, coming back, peeled off and drilled one of the Chiefs.
Louis Oliver even went out and congratulated Ingram. He hits 51, Lonnie March right in the chin. Goodness.
When you can get wide receivers to block for you that way, and Irving Fryer is very valuable in that regard, loves to block. Ingram shows you he's willing to sacrifice his body. He usually leads to some long gainers. On first down, Mitchell looked long and then pulled it back. Throws complete to Keith Jackson, his first catch today. Another first down.
Oh man, Dick, I'm sure Miami, Don Shula, and Gary Stevens like to save some of this for later in the season. This is magical. It doesn't normally work this good. He holds it, still looking downfield for the receiver. That's another step in the learning curve of Scott Mitchell. Not a bad receiver to go to either, Keith Jackson. This is spectacular.
When you look on Monday morning, the best passing yards, best rushing, well, look at Mitchell. He'll be on the list. He'll be in the dark. 308 yards with still more than a quarter to go, and he's able to fall on the errant handoff. Neil Smith there to cover.
How about the only thing he hasn't done is caught one of his own, and we've still got almost a quarter left. That's that long, well, it bounces out of Scott Mitchell's hand. He never really gets a hold of it. He's got a big mitt on him, too. I'm kind of surprised at that.
Mitchell, who has one interesting hobby, and I know some folks along the line can identify with the fact that he's just fascinated by trains. And he's got a large collection of trains. In fact, plans to build a room just to house that hobby. And he had no room in which to throw there in a crowded room of red. Unable to get that one a full free throw. He's got a terrific personality, low-key, a lot like Marino in that regard. He's in the last year of his contract, and some are suggesting, hey, the better you do, the more are going to be in your bank next year because someone else may want to pay you the big dollars. They've already got the big dollars assigned to Marino. Miami may not be able to afford 2 of them. He said, that's not my concern.
Oh, now wait a minute. I subscribe to that theory. I heard him say that.
He said, I'll just let it fall as it will.
Oh.
He has been incredibly accurate. That's Jackson again, the tight end.
Now he's in there defending one of his offensive linemen.
17 more yards for Scott Mitchell. Yes, sir. He's for real.
Yes.
We're not worthy.
Whoa. Master. We were supposed to be here and watch Joe Montana, not this young kid from the University of Utah. Look at, slides up, looks a lot like Dan Marino getting ready, keeps his eyes down the field. Mother may I, this kid has been sensational today.
19-yard line. Kirby, another of the Miami youth core. Tracy Rogers back in the game making the tackle.
When Scott Mitchell, I think when Don Shula realized the talent that Scott Mitchell had, they wanted him to go to the World League. And he said, I don't want to go there and get hurt. So they talked to his agent. They set up a whole bunch of injury clauses. He goes there, plays for Galen Hall. Galen Hall had an incumbent quarterback there, Kerwin Bell. Scott Mitchell beats him out, comes back. Marino said, you better learn something over there or don't come back to the NFL. He's learned a lot.
He was a 4th-round pick back in '90. On 2nd down, it's Kirby again with blockers. 10, up the mountain to the 5. First and goal, Miami.
Oh, they're pushing this defense all over the field. Watch Byers and Keith Jackson up front. Keller, 73, 69, Sims. Everybody gets a shoulder pad on somebody, and they're riding the wave.
That's right. Bobby Beathard might want to go after that Kirby. It's like he could handle some of those waves out on the West Coast.
Man, I'm telling you, this is one of the sensational offensive performances I've seen. This is a good defense that Miami's doing this too.
First and goal from the 4. Kirby denied at the 1-foot line, almost in. Tracy Semien saved the touchdown. There's the backup, Doug Peterson, who would come in should there be another injury at quarterback to Miami.
54 underneath, just short.
Kirby, who got his first NFL touchdowns last week, one on a run, one on a catch. He is the leading rookie in the league in scrimmage yards. He gets it again. Easy touchdown. That's how it's going for Miami. You bet. Salute the crowd. Salute Shula. This club playing big today.
I'll tell you another thing, Dick. In the film trading that goes on in the NFL, upcoming opponents will see Miami in the last 2 weeks. Last week against Indianapolis, this week against Kansas City. And there's some rethinking going on. I mean, these are 2 quality performances by this offense.
A battle of 5-1 teams, and Miami showing superior play today. And who knows how much the injuries to Kansas City, especially the Harvey Williams injury, took out of the Chiefs.
Excellent blocking up front again. Keith Byers, 41, the lead block. Nobody touches Kirby until he's in the end zone. And I expect any moment now the white towel will come in from the corner, the Kansas City corner. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, there seems little doubt now that Don Shula is going to match one of those records that old-timers thought would never be touched. George Halas, 324 wins. Can you imagine? If you win 10 games a year, it takes you more than 32 years to accumulate.
Even I can figure that out, Dick.
Don Shula. And he's still tough. He's still aggressive. Said he took a gamble. High school. College goes to John Carroll in Cleveland, Ohio. And out of college, he said, I got a math minor so that I could teach math while I coached high school football. Was offered $3,750 to coach at Canton, Ohio, Lincoln High School, or take a gamble on pro football. Who wanted to play pro football? $5,000 as a rookie, a gamble, because he had to give up the teaching job to go to the Browns. He made it. He was in a 10-for-5 trade when Paul Brown sent 10 Browns to Baltimore for 5. He was a fine cornerback in his day. He had around 20 interceptions. Learned his game, and at 33, after a few years as an assistant coach, became the head man in Baltimore and then to Miami in 1970.
He said he never used that teaching certificate. And come on, you've been a teacher for 31 years. What are you trying to give? His classroom happens to be here, not in a schoolhouse.
27-3, and a big kick by Stoyanovich, and Dickerson has to kneel and take it at the 20. Well, it was my pleasure to do the first 4 or 5 Breeders' Cups, and it is a spectacular day in sport, and the setting will be magnificent there at one of the great ovals in the world, Santa Anita. Next Saturday, 1:30, you'll see all 7 races live with a $1 million starting and building to the Classic. And it might be a couple of California breds out there, Bertrando and Best Pal, going for the $3 million prize in the Classic. That's all coming your way next Saturday on NBC. Dave Craig. Todd McNair collared at the 25 by Marco Coleman. What's that game kids play? Marco Polo. Well, that was the Polo right down on the 25. And that is the end of the third. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Marco.
Presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the NFL is prohibited.
Look at the scoreboard. The first touchdown allowed by Kansas City in the first quarter. 2 touchdowns allowed by Kansas City in the third quarter. Miami has destroyed all of the great defensive numbers of Kansas City's football team today.
The Chiefs not allowing a single touchdown first nor third periods to their first 6 opponents. Craig. Incomplete. That was Todd McNair, and coming up to say hello was Louis Oliver. And they were hooting Lou.
They thought coming into this game that both teams were on par and would meet somewhere in the postseason. They got Kansas City thinking maybe we overestimated, and Miami thinking we're better than we thought.
That's going to be a game I think both sides are going to reflect upon later in the year as we approach playoff time or in the playoffs, and as has been suggested earlier, could play a role in home field. These are 2 solid teams. Jeff Cross, 91, was he pulled? Cross looking for his 8th sack of the season. He's playing his 72nd consecutive game. With Marino's injury, he now has the longest string for Miami.
Encroachment, number 91 defense. That is 5 yards. It is still 3rd down.
He studied films of Bruce Smith and Reggie White, and still does, Jeff Cross, to try to improve himself.
I just saw a look there at Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator. He has done an awful good job with this defense. With Montana out, it's pretty much been up to the offense today.
Don't forget, he lost Offerdahl, one of the tough inside linebackers in this league.
And by the way, we saw John Offerdahl. He said, I'll be ready to go next week. And everybody, the team was shocked. You are? You will be?
From the shoulder injury.
Whoops.
That's Ernie Thompson, his first carry today, and he just bumped into a solid wall of white.
Man.
And in the middle of it was Jarvis Williams. Jarvis Williams has played as tough a hitting game as I've seen him play since his rookie year. He has been in the thick of some very important plays all day.
And, of course, he's got a big reputation to go with Louis Oliver back there. Oliver is one of those real aggressive safeties. Kansas City only needed a foot. I think they lost yardage.
So on 4th down, Barker comes in again. He has punted well. McDuffie calls for the fair catch at the 34-yard line. Just a 37-yard punt on that one. Timeout with 14 minutes to go.
NFL on NBC is brought to you by Diet Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Diet Dr. Pepper, the taste you've been looking for. By Mitsubishi, the new thinking in automobiles. By John Newbean and Company, where we still believe our strongest bond is human. And by Heineken. just being the best is enough.
A game that Don Shula will be very proud to remember as his 324th win. Miami with the ball again, and short yardage as Keith Byers through the center of that defense. By the decade for Don Shula, whose coaching career began in 1963. So in 60 as the youthful mentor of the Colts, 73 wins. Big in the 70s, of course. Those were the Super Bowl championship years of the Dolphins, and even 100 in the 80s as Dan Marino became part of the story. 38 in the 90s, and don't be surprised if that one gets to 100 too. Yeah. Keith Byers on a quickie from Mitchell. Shy of the first down as Terry and Rogers made the tackle. I like what Larry Zonka said about Shula. In his tougher times, perhaps. He said, you love him or you love to hate him. And then Zonka thought, he said, okay, maybe you hate to love him. I guess it's a cliche. He's all coach, all man, all father, if you will.
The best story about Don Shula that I can tell you is when Miami Vice from NBC was big. The star Don Johnson comes to St. Thomas to meet Don Shula. I'll tell you the end of the minute.
Mitchell has another wide open Byers for a first down at the 47, taking what Kansas City gives him.
Now, Don Johnson and Miami Vice was the #1 rated TV show in America at that time. And Don Johnson walks up to Shula and says, hi, Coach, Don Johnson, Miami Vice. And Shula says, you guys do a nice job. And then Don Johnson says to him, would you like to come and see us shoot sometime? And Shula says, a shoot? Wouldn't that be dangerous? I had no idea who Don Johnson was.
Nor the show Miami was. All coach. On first down. Hicks. Whoa. 8 Kansas City tacklers had a chance to bring him down, and finally Kevin Ross got it done.
You know, there are seldom times in your career where when the game is over, you win, everything goes good, that you can't wait to go watch that game film. Boy, they're going to be there early Monday to watch this one. In Kansas City, no.
It has been a headache.
A major league headache.
This is a time where that clock just seems to stand still when you're on the losing side. Higgs. Got enough for the first down. Joe Phillips got his 300 pounds around him, and with help from Rogers and others, makes the stop.
I don't know if you made a time capsule for Don Shula, you'd certainly include one game from the Baltimore Colts, probably not the Super Bowl won by the Jets. You'd certainly include a game from the undefeated season back in the 70s. This is a candidate here. This is a backup quarterback against a very worthy opponent, like records. I mean, this is as fine an executed game plan as I've seen in a long time.
Fake to Higgs. Mitchell had all kinds of choices. Could have run it. Threw it to Jackson for another 9 yards. Martz and Carter.
And that time he rolls right. Now Miami's to the point where they're putting things on film that their opponents have to prepare for. Mitchell will not just roll out left. He rolls out right.
Well, the Jets have upset the Giants at the Meadowlands. That'll be a big story today. Other finals, Indianapolis in a battle of field goals, apparently. And Bill Parcells denied. Another tough defeat for him. He'll be aiming at Buffalo next week, one of our games in an NBC doubleheader.
Oh, these are the good times for Miami.
On second and short, Byers to the 22-yard line. Just running at will. The holes are huge. Carter made the stop with Terry. And Byers comes up limping. Now, that's the one part of the story that Don Shula, I'm sure, thinking about now and fearful that you get through this thing, win the game, celebrate, but come out healthy.
This looks like a shot just above the knee of Keith Byers.
Hand for Byers. What an addition he is to this team.
I mean, when they got Keith Jackson, it was Christmas. When Byers became available, they jumped right all over Keith Byers, and Keith Jackson was his biggest salesman.
Byers, all good things, not just his athletic talent, but just a great guy to have on the team. James Saxon, a former Chief, number 22, replaces him. That's Higgs, short yardage.
I think they're bending his knee, but I think they're checking his. Let me see what they're doing here. I think he's just got a pull in his thigh, or maybe a cramp in his thigh. He might have taken a shot right on the leg. See if we can. Rodgers is, yeah, right up on the thigh. He got a shot from Dale Carter. We'll just kind of loosen up the thigh muscle.
Second and a long 9. Miami well in command. Higgs a huge hole again. Tried to cut back, and Doug Terry came up to make the stop at the 17-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 5 for the Fish, as they're called down here.
The Fish today got teeth. Big teeth. They have made Kansas City pay on both sides of the football.
Well, the Giants, who were another of the 5-1 teams, taste their second defeat today. The Jets with renewed hope, and that has to be a very satisfying win for Bruce Coslett, Ronnie Lott, and that team, saying, hey, we're a doggone good 2-4 team. And it's the Jets that Miami plays next week. Mitchell waits, and almost completes it to Jackson. That was catchable. Jackson had a chance as Mitchell, with a huge rush from Lonnie Martz, stood in there and got it away, but incomplete.
He does hang on to the ball. The pressure comes from the left-hand side. Kirby is the running back. He releases. So what Mitchell should do is throw it out here to Kirby. He's the hot receiver there. But forgive him, he hasn't made many mistakes today. That may have been one.
Stoyanovich from the 25, a 35-yard attempt. Doug Peterson to hold. And Stoyanovich drills it. Another 3 on the Shula 324th victory celebration party in Miami. It's now 33.
Football's game of the year. Heisman Trophy candidate Charlie Ward leads the explosive #1 ranked Florida State Seminoles against the 2nd ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. For both teams, it's a must-win game on the road to the national championship. Get ready for the showdown in South Bend in 2 weeks on NBC.
Irish with an off week to prepare for Florida State. Battle of Unbeatens in South Bend in 2 weeks on NBC. Scott Mitchell and the Miami Dolphins in what figured to be a very intense, closely battled game here at Joe Robbie. 2 5-1 teams, but it's been all Mitchell and Miami. 32-3. And tonight, John Forsythe with an all-new eyewitness video kicks off our primetime entertainment at 7 o'clock, followed by an all-new Sequest adventure starring Roy Scheider. Then Michael Keaton stars in the network television premiere movie One Good Cop. His partner is murdered. Now he has only 2 choices: to play by the rules, do what he feels is right is the other option. That's tonight at 9.
I thought he was Batman.
At the 20, Kansas City, and Stoyanovich is denied any returns on kickoff. Dave Craig for Joe Montana went out in the 2nd quarter with the aggravation of that hamstring pull, and Todd McNair some good running and a 1st down out to the 31. Assuming that the Miami Dolphins are victorious today, this is how the AFC East standings would appear, with Buffalo, and of course Miami in essence has a game on Buffalo because they beat the Bills in Buffalo earlier this year. The Jets, Indianapolis still in contention, and New England providing some good tests for the competition. It'll be Buffalo next week. Buffalo has the Monday night game tomorrow night against Washington. Craig cross chasing, and Craig throws it out of bounds. Jonathan Hayes was the closest Chief. Now, just looking ahead, should Mitchell continue, and I'm not saying that Shula will even try any more passes with the score as it is, but to show you what kind of game Scott Mitchell has had today, the biggest pass yardage total this year in the NFL is Boomer Esiason, 371 yards against Denver early in September, 371. Look at Mitchell, only 27 yards from the top production by a passer in the league all year.
And the beauty of that performance is the way it was kind of spoon-fed him at the beginning of the game, going on first down, running on the not so obvious downs, just to set him up for the rest of the day.
Greg throws and no one there. J.J. Burton was the closest. And Mitchell, true to the Shula game plan, let the entire company have a taste.
Wow. And you know, we asked him yesterday about that, and he said, I don't want to go two guy. I do want to spread it around. He's done an excellent job. Byers with 6 catches.
Ingram has the yardage because of the 77-yard touchdown, the longest play of the day. And Doug Peterson at least caressing a ball on the sidelines, hoping he gets a chance for his first NFL duty. Craig to McNair. And McNair, and there might be a face mask there. No, apparently not. Out of bounds at the 37-yard line, short of the first down. That brings up another 4th down for the Chiefs. Peterson, who followed Stan Humphries as the quarterback. He was a freshman when Humphries was a senior at Northeast Louisiana. Longtime Seattle Seahawks fan. Grew up in the great Northwest, where his parents were season ticket holders for the Seahawks from day one. He talked of Zorn and Larson.
He's taking a snap here on the sideline. We're excited.
Yeah, I think he just knows he's getting a little close-up time. On 4th down, Marty goes for it. Incomplete for the tight end Cash. Miami takes over on downs.
The thing about Doug Peterson is that last week he also got his first full-time, big-time NFL check.
First, the dog pound will be rocking when John Elway leads the Denver Broncos into Cleveland for a battle with electrifying Eric Metcalf and the first-place Browns. Then the L.A. Raiders, led by their tenacious D, blow into the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bears. The NFL on NBC next Sunday.
First play from scrimmage in the NFL for quarterback Doug Peterson, and he hands off to Mark Higgs, and Higgs to the 35 of Kansas City. And Doug Peterson, let's go back to when he was sent in the game. Don Shula going for 324. Peterson, your first NFL game. Look at those eyes. I mean, how do you describe that? Would you say George Plimpton must have looked that way?
George Plimpton looked out there in the middle. What am I doing here? Oh, I like it.
Peterson. In the World League, he was a 55% thrower, 8 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He played for Mouse Davis's New York Knights team. Higgs squeaked through for 3 to the 32. Tim Newton, the younger brother of the Kitchen, Nate Newton, the star guard with the Cowboys, made the stop.
Yeah, we don't want to demean what Doug Peterson has done to this point in his NFL career, but we were at practice yesterday, and the sum total of what he did for the varsity here at the Miami Dolphins was he would throw the kickoff on Saturday for special teams practice. That was the sum total of what he did. They didn't want to wear Stoyanovich out, so Peterson threw the kickoff.
Kickoff thrower. Yeah, look at it. He got a little swagger there as he sets up 3rd and 5. He'd love to throw one, but Shula says stay on the ground.
Yeah, that's it.
Brought down by Kevin Ross for a loss, and 4th down.
Peterson has, yes, what he should do now. See that grass stain on Mitchell's uniform? Peterson should have to make Bobby Monica, the equipment man, wash his uniform this week. There's a little grass stain on that uniform, and the day will be complete.
He just wants to throw. I mean, you could just say, please, just let me throw one. Who knows if I'll ever get another chance. On a team that has Marino and Scott Mitchell coming in here, a 3rd-string quarterback, he didn't think this day would ever exist. 4th down. He tosses to Higgs, and Higgs to stop, and Kansas City will take over on downs. And that's typical Shula and just good sports. He wasn't going to try to rub anything in against Schottenheimer, even to give Peterson a chance to throw.
This Heisman moment is brought.
What a day for Don Shula's Miami Dolphins. 30-3 against one of the top teams in the league, the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been stunned by the play of the Dolphins and by their own bad luck, injury luck today. And one wonders the impact of this game and the injuries on Marty Schottenheimer.
Goodness, look at that.
6 minutes is all they've had the ball the entire second half.
Well, the offense will be fresh next week, if nothing else.
Dave Craig, what an optimist. Dave Craig at the controls. Down the middle. Woo! Painful price that Burton has to pay for a catch at the 48 of the Dolphins. And for Kansas City, it's not insignificant for them to get a touchdown leaving Miami. They'd like to get a score.
That is a tough catch by Chris Green, who weighs less than 160 pounds there. Yeah, Chris Green on the hit.
Greg going long. Almost intercepted. And Green had his sights on that one. Intended for Burton, but Green in good position for the pick. He has a couple of interceptions this year.
Dick, watch the end of this. Watch how J.J. Burton lands on his right leg, left leg. Whoa. Goodness, and he gets up and walks back the huddle. No problem whatsoever. Holy Toledo. That is a strong kid that can absorb that kind of motion in his knee. Here, Marty walked over. You all right?
Craig now 11 for 23 yards. That was Craig Vesey, former Steelers, charging into the offensive line.
You could tell he was really up to the task today.
Encroachment, number 94 defense, 5 yards, still second down.
Before the game today, he had one of his fellow teammates take his picture with Marcus Allen. So priorities straight, you know.
Of course, Marcus, really a tough day for him emotionally. His close friend with the Chiefs, Harvey Williams, taken away by helicopter after that head and neck injury. There, and the ball pops free. Looks like Keith Cash, the tight end 89, was the man who pounced on it for a first down at the 26-yard line.
There are an awful lot of backup players in there for the Miami Dolphins. The Kansas City Chiefs appear to be staying with their starting guys to try to get some semblance of order. Something good to look at it on films.
Louis Oliver in there to force the fumble.
Cash does come up with a recovery. Drive stays alive.
Jones and Davis to the right. Cash the tight end to the left.
A lot of room to run.
The 20. And all the way to the 7-yard line. Closer to the 6 goes Dave Craig. A 20-yard scramble. And it's first and goal for the Chiefs.
You know, in assessing what the Kansas City Chiefs have here, this drive is important for Dave Craig in Kansas City because he's going to be their quarterback, I think, for several weeks.
You do.
With the way Joe Montana limped to the little golf cart to take him off to the training room, it looks like that was a major pull or re-pull of the hamstring. This guy's going to be the quarterback for a while, in my estimation.
14-year veteran Dave Craig on first and goal, trailing 30-3. Underneath the Cash, he leans forward, but yes, touchdown. He did break the play on the lurch forward. Cash with his first touchdown.
I'm not sure I understand all these rules about the ball in the end zone and whatever. Watch his knee. He reaches over the line. I know that. But that's a touchdown. The ball breaks the plane in the end zone.
He had 3 touchdowns last year, or in his 2 years with Kansas City. That's his first this season. Nick Lowry for the point after. it is 30-10. For Dave Craig, he moves up on that all-time list of touchdown passes just to throw in his numbers, and it shocks a lot of folks that he is now tied for 11th all-time in touchdown passes. That was his 212th, tying him with two great names, Terry Bradshaw and Y.A. Tittle. Dave Craig just silently through his career, just piling up terrific numbers, but never getting an awful lot of credit.
You're right.
Oh, time now for the Hager wrinkle-free Captain Super play of the game. Goes back early. This was an omen for the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Mitchell under pressure, scrambles away on the run, fires to Irving Fryer. Fryer hesitates, picks up a block from Kirby, and a touchdown for Miami. That is how the scoring started, and it showed that Mitchell was cool and calm and acutely accurate.
Yes. And Mr. Enberg, that was an Enberg moment. That play right there. There was a lot involved there, and you milked it beautifully.
Oh my. Well, it is going to be a game that will carry hangovers, positive and negative, for these two teams, and we're curious to see the impact next week.
Yeah, I think Scott, they're going to try an onside kick here, the Kansas City Chiefs are. Hands team out there for the Miami Dolphins.
Chance to practice it in game conditions with 2.5 to go. Well, Lowry sets up on this side, and the key to this is the big bounce. Ball was free for a moment, but covered well by the Dolphins at the 46-yard line. Terry Kirby was there. Now let's look ahead to next week. It's an NBC doubleheader Sunday. The early games, most of you will see the Broncos and the Cleveland Browns, and a lot of history involved in that matchup. And the late game, the Raiders in Chicago. It'll be our pleasure to be in the city with broad shoulders to see just how good those Raiders are. And Miami and Don Shula will go for the record, 325 at the Meadowlands against the Jets, who will be hyped after their big win against the Giants. That's Irving Fryer, who was in on the good hands play on the onside kick.
See if we can pick up what happened. Well timed by Kansas City. Fryer, 59.
Jaime Fields.
Jaime Fields levels him.
Fryer, who had a big first quarter, had 4 catches early and 82 yards, the first touchdown. And you're pretty much at the mercy of the on-rushing onside kicking team on that, and you've got only about 10 yards to spare, and they have a full run at you, and your concentration is on trying to cover the ball. You're pretty much at their mercy. And
the worst thing you can do is back up with that ball bouncing. I'm going to try to stand your ground right there.
Yeah, while we have a break, boy, there were some terrific pictures and sounds today. Great job down there, gentlemen and ladies. Executive producer of NBC Sports is Tommy Roy. The coordinating producer of NBC Football is John Faratzis. And that same John Faratzis produced our game today. Alongside was director John Gonzalez, associate director Al Szymanski, Jim Bells, our production associate, technical director Mitch Geller, technical manager Alan Shear, production managers Tim DeKime and Willetta Dement. Thanks in the booth to Terry Brumfield, Harry Von Suskel, and the most famous cricket bowler in all of America, Ross Slingshot Schneiderman, with all the numbers.
Irving Fryer's still down on the ground.
Yeah, that has been the big negative on what otherwise has been a magnificent day for the Miami Dolphins and their legendary coach, Don Shula. Messrs. Lampley and Ditka and O.J. Simpson standing by with the scores and highlights on the Head and Shoulders post-game report, so stay with us. That picture today of Doug Peterson's smiling eyes coming in to play his first game for Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins will be one to be remembered.
Yes.
Fortunately, Fryer okay.
Kevin Ross comes over and helps Irving Fryer. He's being led straight to the Miami Dolphins locker room. Looks like he's holding his arm, right arm or shoulder or something like that.
Fryer yesterday at practice said the Dolphins were having some fun with a baseball. They were practicing their World Series pitching, and Fryer looked like he'd done some pretty good humming in his day. He had good form, had a good rotation on that overhand breaking ball.
Does he also play a lot of instruments, musical instruments?
He's a terrific musician. Trombone. He could play in the orchestra. He studied trombone for many, many years.
All right. Doug Peterson, part deux.
Could be a series. The orbs of Peterson checking that Kansas City defense. 2:26 to go. Next, James Saxon getting a chance against his former teammates, picking up 7-8 yards. Saxon had not carried the ball all year. Gets his chance today. Only had 4 carries last season. Terry and Mincy with the tackle, and time down to the 2-minute timeout for Don Shula. It's going to be a tough week for him. You can imagine the media requests between now and especially going for 325 in Gotham. 2 minutes left in this one. One he shall savor. Dolphins impressive 30-10 with 2 minutes to go. Ball at the 37 of Kansas City. Talking about baseball yesterday, and Keith Jackson there, he said I was a designated hitter. They just put me on, said to get hit by a pitch so I could get on base and be the runner. Don Shula and Doug Peterson, 2 different sets of eyes. Is there a greater contrast than Shula winning a 324 game and Peterson in his very first in his own?
Yes, yes.
The eyes told it all.
And of course, when they go in to watch the game film, Doug will hang around to the end, watch these 2 series, and be critiqued by Don Shula.
Asked Shula about the rumors going way back about coaching at Notre Dame, and he said it was his dream in high school to play at Notre Dame. Wasn't recruited, went to John Carroll there in Cleveland, son of a commercial fisherman. And he said later there was some rumors that maybe the alumni wanted me, and I played golf with Moose Krause, then the athletic director. He said, you don't have to say yes or no, Don. And he said, not until we finish the front 9. But Shula, the good fortune of the Miami fans, has been the fixture here since 1970.
The NFL obviously knew how important a man Don Shula was, because when he left Baltimore and came to Miami, Baltimore was compensated with a first-round draft choice, who turned out to be a running back named Don McCauley out of North Carolina. They knew back then, before all these 324 wins, or about 300 of them, just how valuable he would be.
Oh, he was a good coach from day one. The league knew that. So here's the final play. Peterson gets a carry, a -1, and the Miami Dolphins. And Don Shula has number 324 and a little bat to go. Well, 1 more to go. And Shula, there's a time where he would not have even smiled. He would not have liked that. Who did that? But that awakened him.
Did you see that? Who did that? He turned out. Who did that?
Marty Schottenheimer to midfield, and 50-year-old Schottenheimer, the 63-year-old Shula. They're 2 of the finest men in the game. And for Don Shula, thank you. It was our thrill to be part of this day. And Don Shula and George Halas. I had the pleasure of calling games while the Ram announcer, while George Halas was still strutting the sidelines. Tough as a bad leather. And Shula has that quality. And yet that wonderful ability to adjust and change and not have all the rules stay through in a lifetime. Congratulations, Don Shula. He joins an immortal George Halas with his victory today, and one of the finest performances by his Dolphins in many, many a season. And we will return to Joe Robbie Stadium, where it was a Miami day. The eyes of Shula, and we'll be seeing that face for many more years, perhaps not quite under those conditions. And I don't want to be Brian Cox next week. We'll be right back.
This is the Head & Shoulders NFL Live postgame report, brought to you by Head &